Chapter 637. Is young master confident? Mo Xianxian looked at Lin Yu with anticipation and worry. The latter only smiled in his heart. I, Qin Wunyan, never do things that I'm not confident in. If this matter doesn't succeed, Lin Yu smiled faintly. In the future, I, Qin Wunyan, will write my name backwards. Seeing that she was still hesitating, Lin Yu purposely asked again. In the past year, when Tianhun sect's head was in seclusion, many things must have happened in Tianhun sect, right? Hearing that, Mo Xianxian once again felt how powerful Lin Yu was. Young master actually knows about our internal affairs. Not only do I know about the internal affairs of Tianhun sect, I also know about your internal affairs. Lin Yu said coldly. Mo Xianxian saw his condescending attitude. This young man looked younger than her, but the aura of a leader he emitted was comparable to an emperor. Mo Xianxian couldn't find a reason to reject him. Young master is right. In the past year, many disciples of Tianhun sect have died. Moreover, Mo Xianxian pursed her lips. If she really said it, it meant that she had decided to stand on the same side as Lin Yu. When the time came, it could be said that a thought could lead to heaven or hell. Continue. Yes, these disciples all died near sect head seclusion. Not only that, the characteristics of all the disciples who died were that their divine senses were sucked dry. What do you think is strange about this matter? I don't dare to investigate too deeply. I only briefly study the corpses. It seems like a long-lost cultivation technique of Tianhun sect. Mo Xianxian didn't say the name of the cultivation technique. After all, this was the top secret of Tianhun sect. However, Lin Yu didn't think so. He smiled and said, "Your guess is right. They all died under the devouring spirit demonic art." Rumble. The moment he said that, Mo Xianxian started to doubt herself. In this world, is there anything that young master doesn't know? There are many things, but at least there's nothing that I don't know here. Lin Yu smiled. Mo Xianxian could tell that he wasn't joking. Terrifying. Too terrifying. Young master, do you know the specifics of the devouring spirit demonic technique? Looks like you really didn't investigate much. Lin Yu coldly laughed. Mo Xianxian shook her head in shame. I really didn't dare to investigate further. Firstly, back then Ling Chongfeng kept pestering me, making it extremely difficult for me to even move. Secondly, I was in the vicinity where the sect leader was in closed-door seclusion. Regardless of the guards or Madame Golden Lotus, as long as I moved, they would notice me. Lin Yu interrupted her. There's a third point. Those dead disciples have nothing to do with you. If they die, then they die. Why risk your life for them and affect the position you've fought for so many years? Lin Yu's eyes seemed to have completely scrutinized Mo Xianxian. As the sound of his voice faded, Mo Xianxian increasingly felt that this man was her nemesis. She could only lower her head again. Nothing can be hidden from young master. But now, what should we do? Lin Yu didn't keep him in suspense. I killed Ling Chongfeng because he did offend me, so he deserved to die. Secondly, I needed to use him to test the bottom line of the Tianhun school. Mo Xianxian's heartbeat quickened. Could it be that Lin Yu had been playing a huge game of chess since the start of the Flower Appreciation Festival? Everyone's appearance in this matter was within Lin Yu's expectations. In this game of chess, everyone was merely a chess piece of this young man in front of her. Lin Yu didn't care about Mo Xianxian's thoughts. He continued, and now I've already tested him. Since he still hasn't come out of closed-door seclusion even after Ling Chongfeng's death, it can only mean that he can't come out now. Since that's the case, now is the best opportunity for you to obtain power in the Tianhun school. Mo Xianxian nodded her head repeatedly. Young master is right. But what should we do? Lin Yu was about to speak when a fierce roar came from below. Tang Xan, Han Wanqing, and Mo Xianxian all looked up and saw a golden phoenix flying out from the Tianhun school. It flapped its two pairs of wings and rapidly approached them. Surrounding the golden phoenix were countless disciples of the Tianhun school. Oh no, young master, she brought more people with her. Tang Xian's heart tightened. Han Wanqing immediately pointed her spear. at Mo Cien. She was the only one who could give orders here. It wasn't me. Mo Cien glanced at her and innocently said to Lin Yu, Madame Golden Lotus is here. Young master, what should we do? If you want to escape, you have your ways. Why do you have to look at me as if you've been caught cheating? Lin Yu said helplessly. This woman was naturally seductive. To a man, she was the best enjoyment. Because of this, Ling Chongfeng had played with so many women, but he still wanted Mo Cien. Unfortunately, he didn't even have a chance to touch her before he died. On the other hand, Lin Yu tasted quite a bit. Qin Wunyan, Mo Cien come out. On the golden phoenix, a woman's angry voice came. Following the phoenix's cry, the Tianhun School's army had already surrounded the restaurant. Inside and outside, there were thousands of people in the army. They outnumbered Mo Cien by more than 10 times. Madame Golden Lotus, please calm down. We still need to investigate the young master's matter. Mo Cien saw that Lin Yu didn't react. Could it be that he was purposely testing her sincerity? She could only brace herself and leave Lin Yu's lap. She stood up and bowed to the beautiful woman on the phoenix. Then, she glanced at Lin Yu. This is young Master Qin Wunyan. Since she couldn't hide it, she might as well directly say Lin Yu's name. Damn bitch, Qin Wunyan is the murderer of my son. Since he's here, why don't you take him down? Madame Golden Lotus gritted her teeth. However, Mo Cien seemed to have expected this. She smiled and said, Madam, you've misunderstood. There's still something fishy about what happened that day. This time, young Master Qin Wunyan took the initiative to come to my Tianhun school to explain. Explain? Madame Golden Lotus's cold gaze landed on Lin Yu and Mo Cien. She sneered. Fine, before explaining, take him down. Madam, Mo Cien was furious. This crazy woman was really hard to reason with. She frowned and looked at Lin Yu. Young master, why don't we hide for a while? Madame Golden Lotus had already given the order. The Tianhun School's army had already locked onto the restaurant and was about to attack. You're saying it as if I'm here to apologize. Lin Yu rubbed his forehead. Wouldn't he lose face like this? Mo Cien was astonished. The situation was very bad, but how could this guy still be so calm? In the next instant, Mo Cien heard Lin Yu pick up his teacup. He seemed to be talking to himself. The spring water fills the spring pond, and the spring grass grows. The spring people drink the spring wine, and the spring birds sing. His voice wasn't loud, but it reached Madame Golden Lotus's ears. Wait! Her heart tightened, and she immediately ordered the people who were about to charge into the restaurant to stop. Madame Golden Lotus narrowed her eyes. How do you know this poem? Chapter 638. How do you know this poem? Madame Golden Lotus asked angrily. When I arrived, Madame Golden Lotus looked down from the top of the phoenix. You don't have the demeanor of the Tianhun sect. Lin Yu slowly put down his teacup and said, Besides, there are some things that shouldn't be said out loud. After all, gossip is a fearful thing. Impudent, Madame Golden Lotus said angrily, but her eyes flashed with an undetectable light. She frowned and left the golden phoenix. She stepped into the air and landed on the restaurant. At the same time, she ordered, Without my order, don't attack. After saying that, she appeared in front of Lin Yu. This woman's aura contained 5 supreme intents. Like number 0, she was a 5th-star supremacy. The first 4 stars of the supremacy 7 stars were known as Earth supremacy. However, when one reached the 5th star, the 5 supreme intents would be complete, and there would be a qualitative change. Therefore, the 5th star of the supremacy realm was also known as a 1-star sky supremacy. I don't have much patience. You'd better give me a satisfactory reason, or else. Madame Golden Lotus stood in front of Lin Yu and raised her head slightly to warn Lin Yu. As for her 5 supreme intents, even if she didn't finish her sentence, it would be Lin Yu's fate if he went against her will. Spring water fills the spring pond, spring grass grows in spring. Spring people drink spring wine, spring birds sing in spring. Lin Yu smiled faintly and said it again. This time, Tang Xen, Han Wanqing, and Mo Cien heard it clearly. This was obviously a love poem. But why did Lin Yu recite a love poem to Madame Golden Lotus? The three women's hearts trembled as they thought of a shameful reason. Could it be that Lin Yu wanted to use Madame Golden Lotus to work less for 20 years? Lin Yu naturally didn't know what the three women were thinking. He raised his hand and said to Madame Golden Lotus again with a confident and calm look, "Madam, are you sure you want me to say it here? Why can't you say it? I'm just afraid that your reputation will be damaged." What a joke. Glancing at Mo Xian and the army around her, Madame Jean Lien said coldly, "This madam has always been upright and honest. What matter can damage my reputation?" She pretended to be strong, but Mo Xian and the other two women didn't move at all. Lin Yu didn't say anything. The situation became awkward. Madame Jean Lien coughed dryly and said to Mo Xian, "You all can leave first. I want to see what other tricks the person who killed my son has up his sleeves." Mo Xian rolled her eyes and guessed what was going to happen next. Could it be that Madame Jean Lien had really done something to ruin her reputation? Now that she's sending us away, isn't she feeling guilty? Tang Xin and Mo Xian looked at Lin Yu. This time, Lin Yu didn't ask them to stay. Instead, he nodded and gestured for them to leave with Mo Xian. After all, what happened next was not suitable for them to listen to. It's time to say it, right? Madame Golden Lotus had already lost her patience. The reason why she was willing to suppress her anger in front of Lin Yu was all because of that love poem. "Madam, you should know better than me that there is a second line to this poem." "I don't know." Lin Yu smiled. He knew that women, like her, were very stubborn. He smiled and said, "When you were born, I was not. When I was born, you were already old. You hate that I was born late. I hate that you were born early." "Madam, I didn't remember wrongly, right?" Madame Jean Lien's breathing became heavier. This poem was written for her by that man. Why did it come from this youth's mouth? "Who exactly are you?" Madame Jean Lien asked for the second time. Lin Yu smiled and said, "Who I am isn't important. As long as Madame remembers this poem and remembers who wrote it, that's enough." "He sent you here?" Before Lin Yu finished speaking, Madame Jean Lien had already asked, "He's finally willing to come and find me. The time isn't right yet, but the first hall master misses Madame very much." Lin Yu withdrew his high-spirited appearance. Instead, he bowed respectfully with a serious expression. "I wonder if Madame is willing to give the first hall master another chance?" If he wants a chance, why doesn't he come himself?" Although Madame Jean Lien's tone sounded angry, it was actually filled with friendship. "Ma Tung, I'll give you a good fortune." Lin Yu thought inwardly as he said, "The hall master is already planning and can attack the Tianhun sect at any time." "What?" Madame Jean Lien's eyes widened. She clenched her teeth and said, "That scumbag not only raped me, he's not even letting go of my place." "Madam, you've misunderstood. The hall master wants to save Madam from the abyss of suffering. Only by eliminating the Tianhun sect master can hall master truly be with Madam," Lin Yu said with sincerity. "Moreover, the hall master knows that the Tianhun sect master has left Madam alone for the past year. Even when he comes out of seclusion, given the Tianhun sect master's vile taste when he first treated Madam, the hall master believes that Madam will not be happy. The hall master believes that Madam will only be able to experience true happiness if she stays by his side. Wouldn't it be wonderful to be a pair of immortal companions when one day you control the Seven Fiends Hall and the Tianhun sect together?" Lin Yu's eyes flashed and his face darkened. However, if Madam remains conservative and still decides to stay by the Tianhun sect master's side, the hall master said that his sincerity would have been fed to the dogs. Those days of intertwining love would have been wasted. "Wait!" Seeing that Lin Yu was about to turn and leave, Madame Jean Lien immediately stopped him. "Ma Tung, did he really say that?" "If his words are false, I, Qin Wunyan, am willing to be struck by lightning." Seeing that Lin Yu was so careless, Madame Jean Lien let out a sigh of relief. "Fine, I'll believe you for now. But what about my son? That's the hallmaster's decision." Lin Yu's tone was cold. "Ling Changfeng is Madame's only concern. Only by killing this concern can Madame pursue her own happiness." Madame Jean Lien was about to speak when Lin Yu interrupted her. Moreover, Ling Chongfeng was conceived when Madame was humiliated at Lingua University. The hallmaster once said that it was Madame's humiliation to begin with. Thud. Madame Jean Lien took a step back, her slightly plump body slowly rising and falling. It was clear that her breathing was extremely heavy. Ma Teng, you're really something. The older you get, the more ruthless you become. No matter what, Chongfeng is still my son. Madame Jean Lien couldn't help but tear up. Madam. With a clap, Lin Yu placed a hand on Madame Jean Lien's shoulder and said meaningfully, "My condolences." Madame Jean Lien was still furious. However, Lin Yu knew that this woman had already begun to make a choice between a child she had been forced to give birth to and the man she loved. Without waiting for Madame Jean Lien to mentally prepare herself, Lin Yu suddenly drank a large mouthful of tea, wiping the tea from the corner of his mouth in a bold manner. He laughed a few times. The hallmaster knows that Madame will hesitate. He already told me that either Madame leaves with him or I won't go back either. What do you mean? Madame Jean Lien was astonished. Chapter 639. Lin Yu heaved a long sigh. I am the inner disciple that the Hall Master recently accepted. I am also the future successor of the Hall of Seven Demons. Madame Golden Lotus narrowed her eyes. I have never heard of this. There are too many things that Madame has never heard of. Moreover, this is the highest secret of the Hall of Seven Demons. Lin Yu spoke righteously. He had been an actor for 100,000 years. How could he let her see through his disguise? Even if Madame Golden Lotus wanted to doubt him, there was no time. Lin Yu's next sentence was enough to dispel her suspicions. The Hall Master said that if Madame doesn't leave, then I, the successor, will pay for Ling Chongfeng's life. A life for a life. Lin Yu closed his eyes as he faced death calmly. At the same time, he took out a dagger from his storage ring. Madame, do it. The dagger was placed in Madame Golden Lotus's hand. The enemy who killed her son had already closed his eyes. Of course, Lin Yu had placed something on the dagger. When it stabbed someone, the dagger would automatically retract. Rather than calling it a dagger, it was more like a prop. Madame Golden Lotus gritted her teeth and raised the dagger. Mo and the other two girls, who were several meters away, felt their hearts tighten. However, Lin Yu shouted, "Don't come over. This is between me and Madame." His heroic voice caused Madame Golden Lotus's dagger-wielding hand to tremble even more. 1 cup of tea, 2 cups of tea, 3 cups of tea. Lin Yu's expression was indifferent. On the other hand, Madame Golden Lotus's expression was conflicted, angry, and sorrowful. The two of them formed a stark contrast. This time, it wasn't a battle of cultivation. It was a battle of the mind. Clang! In the end, she threw the dagger to the ground. It clanged against the floor of the restaurant. Lin Yu slowly opened his eyes. He didn't look at Madame Golden Lotus. Instead, he picked up the dagger on the ground. The sharp part of the dagger had been retracted. It was almost seen by others. Cough! Lin Yu coughed dryly. Just as he was about to say something, Madame Golden Lotus threw herself into his arms. If Ma Teng dares to betray me, I will definitely kill him. The sound of sobbing was mixed with this warning. Everyone looked at this scene in shock. What the F***CK? I'm having a mental breakdown. Is there something wrong with this restaurant? Why did all the women change their attitudes? Qin Wunyan, it's Qin Wunyan's problem. This brat restrains all women. Madame Golden Lotus, Lord Mo, these two sworn enemies actually fell into the hands of the same man. Heavens! Damn it, why can't that man be me? Sect Master went into seclusion for a year, madam. I could do it too. The hearts of the people below the restaurant were already galloping like 10,000 horses. Lin Yu sighed softly and patted Madame Golden Lotus's back. This woman's score was less than 8 points, so he didn't like her. But it was still okay to comfort her. Hall Master will definitely not let Madame down again. Lin Yu said sincerely. Madame Golden Lotus, who was still charming in his arms, wiped away her tears. I lost my composure just now. She calmed down for a few breaths. She looked around and asked in a low voice, "Then what do you need me to do?" "Put on a show." "Put on a show?" "That's right." Hall Master already has enough confidence. As long as Madam cooperates, the Tianhun sect will definitely be in his pocket. The first step now is to create the illusion that the Tianhun sect is being attacked. Being attacked? How we do that? Lin Yu crooked his finger, and Madam Golden Lotus leaned close to his ear. Lin Yu said a few more words. After a long while, Madam Golden Lotus's eyes widened. When did Ma Teng become so smart? Hall Master has been thinking about this plan for a long time. Oh right, Mo Xian is an important part of the plan and is already a member of the Seven Fiends Hall of the Netherworld. I hope that Madam can let go of the past and fight side by side with us. Sigh, if it wasn't for that old man of Lingwu University not touching me for a year, why would I be angry with a little girl? Madam Golden Lotus glanced at Lin Yu and said in a bad mood. Lin Yu's face twitched. He could tell what she meant. So it was because her husband ignored her that Madam Golden Lotus was so bored that she purposely picked on Mo Xian. Madam, it's best that you are so understanding. You have a glib tongue and are loyal. It's Ma Teng's good fortune to have you as his disciple. Madam Golden Lotus felt that she admired Lin Yu more and more. If it wasn't for the age gap between them, Madam Golden Lotus wouldn't mind having a few one-night stands with Lin Yu. I need some time to prepare your request. I'll take my leave first. Yes, madam, please. Lin Yu smiled and sent Madam Golden Lotus away. The people of the Tianhun sect were shocked beyond words. Didn't they say that they would avenge Ling Changfeng and kill Qin Wunyan and Mo Xian? Why did they retreat now? But Madam Golden Lotus had already announced the retreat and left on the Phoenix. They couldn't say anything. Why aren't you leaving? Mo Xian warned from the restaurant. Those people didn't know what was going on. They could only follow the Golden Phoenix and return to the main hall of the Tianhun sect. Young Master is so amazing. You actually chased Madam Golden Lotus away without using a single soldier. Mo Xian immediately came over and fawned over him. Being praised by a beauty like Mo Xian, any man would feel as if they were floating in the clouds. It was just that Lin Yu had more important plans right now. If not, he wouldn't mind having a few more intimate moments with Mo Xian. After all, Lin Yu still remembered that Mo Xian was very talented in that area. Although it was her first time trying out, her proficiency increased very quickly. Madam Golden Lotus is already part of our plan. What? Mo Xian was stunned. She originally thought that this plan was a huge secret. Why did Lin Yu tell Madam Golden Lotus in the blink of an eye? Without her cooperation, you wouldn't be able to replace the Tianhun sect master. Lin Yu reminded and hooked his finger again. Mo Xian pursed her lips. Lin Yu was clearly hinting that her role was the same as Madam Golden Lotus. But she couldn't refuse. Madam Golden Lotus already knew their secret. There was no turning back. Mo Xian had no choice but to move closer to Lin Yu. She did the same thing as Madam Golden Lotus. I want you to wait in the seclusion area of the Linwu Great School. There will be a huge battle in the Tianhun sect. Kill a few people outside the seclusion area and create a sense of crisis for the Linwu Great School. Young Master, are you trying to force the sect master out of seclusion? No. If I'm not wrong, he should be coming out of seclusion tomorrow. So today, no matter what happens, he won't come out. Once his aura is exposed, Taoist Master Yisu will be wary. Mo Xian was confused. Young Master, I don't understand, Sai. During the battle, I want you to trick the Tianhun sect into mobilizing the soul talismans of millions of disciples. Soul talismans. Mo Xian's eyes widened. Soul talismans. Young Master wants to seize control of the army and fight back against the sect master? Chapter 640. She naturally knew what the soul talisman was. After entering the Heavenly Soul sect, all disciples had to take the initiative to extract a strand of their spiritual force into the soul talisman. It was used to control the Heavenly Soul sect's disciples. If a disciple betrayed the sect, his spiritual force in the soul talisman could be destroyed at any time. At that time, what awaited the disciple would be endless pain. Since the establishment of the Heavenly Soul sect, more than 2 7 million disciples had committed suicide because they could not bear the torture of the soul talisman. To the heavenly soul sect's disciples, the soul talisman was more powerful than the sect master. Mo Xian was surprised that Lin Yu not only knew about the existence of the soul talisman, but he also seemed to know about its use. This soul talisman contained the spiritual force of everyone in the heavenly soul sect. Once it was activated, it could command all the disciples. I believe you have your own way to force the soul talisman out of the heavenly soul sect's sect master. I don't need to say more. Lin Yu looked at the time. The Tao Master meeting was about to begin. That was the best time to enter the snow mountain. In the heavenly soul sect, a group of soldiers had secretly changed into the uniforms of different sects and were quietly gathering outside the sect. They were Madame Golden Lotus's trusted troops. It's about time. Go and prepare. Young master, what if the sect master comes out of seclusion? Mo Xian was still worried. He has been hiding for a year in order to wait for the Tao Master meeting tomorrow. When Tao Master Yusu leaves the Tao world, he won't be able to sense anything here. That's when the heavenly soul sect's sect master comes out of seclusion. Lin Yu did not say it clearly, but Mo Xian was extremely intelligent. She had already heard the reason. The sect master is going to break through to the great emperor realm. He only dares to break through tomorrow. As for whether he can succeed, it will depend on us. Lin Yu's lips curled up. Mo Xian burst into laughter. With this reason, she could use the soul talisman without any scruples. Young master, you're so amazing. I should have guessed it long ago. I'm so stupid. Mo Xian patted her own fair forehead and went down to prepare. Of the heavenly soul sect's disciples left with Mo Xian, Tang Xin and Han Wanqing stared blankly at the scene, wondering how Lin Yu had managed to convince two important figures to leave at the same time. At the same time, they felt a sense of pressure, as if a storm was coming. Young master, is it going to be a great battle? Tang Xin took the lead and asked. The two women came to Lin Yu's side. Do you have a handkerchief? Lin Yu didn't answer Tang Xin's question. Instead, he looked at the tears that Madame Golden Lotus had shed in his hand. Yes, the two girls said at the same time. Lin Yu smiled and took the two handkerchiefs. He wiped his hands slowly and said, It's just a small fight. Don't worry about it. You two take a rest and let your cultivation reach the perfect state. I'll need your Frost Beauty Battle Constitution and the Unsullied Battle Constitution later. Yes, the two girls nodded. Even though they saw Lin Yu's calm and collected appearance, they still felt a little uneasy. After all, the surrounding atmosphere had begun to change. Below the restaurant, the people of the Tianhun sect gathered in the main city one after another. In the sky, the territory of the Tianhun sect was also shrouded by a dense layer of dark clouds. Among the dark clouds, there were streaks of lightning that had just appeared. At this moment, they were circling in the sky and constantly expanding. What's that? Enemy attack. Enemies are coming. Their auras are very strong. There are at least tens of thousands of them. Below, many people of the Tianhun sect had already felt the pressure and danger. In the main city, Mo Xian had already led the army to fight. As for Madame Golden Lotus, she had just appeared. Who are you? We are the Alliance of the 8 Sections. We have specially come to suppress the Tianhun sect. Above the clouds, they slowly spoke according to Madame Golden Lotus's orders. However, in the strange dark clouds, they looked extremely terrifying. Below, many disciples of the Tianhun sect found it strange. Why were there so many people missing today? If there were any large-scale activities in the past, there would be more than this number of disciples coming out. However, at this moment, there were only about 100,000 disciples in the Tianhun sect who had begun to deploy their defenses. How dare you? The Tianhun sect is not something that you can suppress as you wish. Madame Golden Lotus said angrily. Lin Yu looked over from afar. He looked a little helpless. Her acting was still a little stiff. Sir, what should we do? It's not the time yet. Fine, I'll help you cultivate. After saying that, Lin Yu brought the two women into the room. The law of harmony circulated. The two women each used one hand to absorb Lin Yu's yang energy. At the same time, the woman's yin energy also circulated. Sir, what is this feeling? It's subtle. It's too subtle. Tang Xin and Han Wanqing said one after the other. They felt that the acupoints in their bodies that weren't smooth were all cleared after the law of harmony circulated throughout their bodies. Otherwise, their cultivation would be reactivated at this moment. It was as if the law of harmony was refining the yin energy in their bodies. Close your eyes. I'll help you reach a perfect state as soon as possible, Lin Yu said. The two women didn't dare to delay. They both held their breaths and began to cultivate. In the outside world, the army above the dark clouds had already begun to fight with the Tianhan sect. The sounds of battle rang out one after another. However, many disciples of the Tianhan sect felt that it was strange. Why did the enemy seem to have no intention of invading the Tianhan sect? Moreover, they were trying their best to avoid casualties. Madame Golden Lotus looked at Mo Xianxian with a serious expression. Why aren't you asking the sect master for help? After hearing that, Mo Xianxian's heart tightened. Just as Lin Yu predicted, the next step was up to her. With the war ahead, Mo Xianxian came to the most solemn place of the Tianhan sect. It was a bamboo forest. In the bamboo forest, there was a small palace. In the bamboo forest, the corpses of some disciples could be seen with the naked eye. There weren't any injuries on the surface of the corpses. However, the way they died was very gruesome. It was as if they had suffered injuries that were more painful than injuries to their bodies. At this moment, dozens of people rushed in and knelt at the entrance of the bamboo forest. Sect Master, save us. Sect Master, our Tianhan sect is being invaded. Please help us. In the bamboo forest palace, a divine consciousness descended. But when she checked the place, she saw that the dozens of people who spoke had already turned into corpses. Mo Xianxian knelt on one knee. Sect Master, their injuries are too serious. They are all dead. Before the divine consciousness appeared, Mo Xianxian had already killed them. Who did this? I don't know. However, it seems that the 7 sects and 12 palaces have joined forces to attack us. I am unable to mobilize my main force. I can't hold on for much longer. 7 sects and 12 palaces. Why did they suddenly attack our Tianhan sect? Mo Xianxian wanted to say something, but she pretended to be in a miserable state and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her acting was much better than Madame Golden Lotus. At least, Mo Xianxian had deliberately messed up her breathing and caused internal injuries before she came. Chapter 641. The intruders are ruthless. We don't know their intentions. Sect leader, please mobilize all the disciples of the Tianhan sect. Mo Xianxian said. Sect leader, we have lost tens of thousands of people. The spiritual force suddenly became silent. Sect leader, Mo Xianxian narrowed her eyes. Just as Lin Yu said, Lingua University still hadn't come out of seclusion. Sect leader, you have been in seclusion for many years. The 7 Fiends Hall, Glazed Moon Stepping Tower, and the 7 sects and 12 palaces all think that the Tianhan sect is easy to bully. Sect leader, please show the might of the Tianhan sect. Mo Xianxian gritted her teeth and shouted. Behind her, more disciples of the Tianhan sect came. All of them came with injuries and knelt outside the bamboo forest. The bamboo forest was the forbidden area of the Tianhan sect. They didn't dare to enter. At this moment, dozens of people were on the ground. They were Mo Xianxian's trusted subordinates. As soon as they knelt, they said in unison, Sect leader, please come out of seclusion and command the entire sect to defend against the enemies. Sect leader, please come out of seclusion and command the entire sect to defend against the enemies. Sect leader, please come out of seclusion and command the entire sect to defend against the enemies. Several voices were heard. Mo Xianxian didn't say anything. She just lowered her head and looked serious. She didn't know if the Lingwu assembly would take the bait. She didn't have full confidence in this. In the palace in the bamboo forest, an old figure retracted his spiritual force and slowly opened his eyes. The disciples outside the bamboo forest were either dead or injured. Needless to say, the people in the main city of the Tianhun sect were in a worse situation. Tomorrow is the day of the Tao Master Assembly. When Tao Master Yusu leaves the Tao world, I will enter the great emperor of equalization. Damn it, the old man gnashed his teeth, his eyes flashing with fierce killing intent. Who is it that dares to attack my Tianhun sect at this critical juncture? When this old man steps into the great emperor of equalization, it will be time to slaughter your entire family. Outside, the disciples of the Tianhun sect were wailing in pain. In order to create a realistic scene, Mo Xianxian ordered her subordinates to kill each other. She had paid such a huge price. If she still couldn't get the soul talisman, she would suffer a huge loss. I didn't even go out when Chongfeng's death, let alone now. Lin Wu breathed heavily. The Tianhun sect was his life's work. If it was destroyed just like that, he would be unwilling. However, his cultivation had already reached the pinnacle of a heavenly sovereign, and he had even condensed a trace of the way of equalization. He'd set up a large number of formations within the palace to conceal his equalization Tao insight. But once he did, he would immediately be noticed by Tao Lord Jade Silk. Damn it, that old bastard only believes in himself and sure. It's impossible for him to allow me to step into the same realm as him. Ling Wu gritted his teeth and took out a stone tablet that emitted an ancient aura. On the stone tablet, one could vaguely hear the fluctuations of countless divine wills entangling and roaring. This stone tablet was a soul talisman that could mobilize all the disciples of the Tianhun school. Where is Madame Golden Lotus? The Heavenly Soul Sect Master sent a voice transmission. In the outside world, Madame Golden Lotus immediately replied with great difficulty. My lord husband, I am currently defending against an enemy. Even Madame Golden Lotus said so. Lin Wu dispelled the last trace of doubt and released the soul talisman. The soul talisman flew out of the bamboo forest. Seeing this, Mo Xianxian's eyes narrowed and her heart beat faster. However, she tried her best to hide her ambition and didn't take the initiative to take the soul talisman. Instead, she waited for the soul talisman to fall into her hands under Lin Wu's control. Sect Master, although Lin Yu had already taken this step into account in his plan, Lin Yu did not expect this to happen. When the soul talisman really appeared in Mo Xianxian's hands, the latter was still shocked. This shock was 30% acting and 70% real. Even if Lin Wu's divine wills descended again, he couldn't see through Mo Xianxian's thoughts. Use this soul talisman to mobilize all the forces of the Tianhun sect to defend against the enemy. Leave no one alive. A mighty voice sounded. Mo Xianxian immediately kept the soul talisman and knelt down. Thank you for the soul talisman, Sect Master. Leave the leader of the attack behind. I want to interrogate him personally. After he's defeated, return the soul talisman immediately. Lin Wu still reminded her. In fact, he was already very careful. Unfortunately, Mo Xianxian had always been a scheming person, and it was impossible for Lin Yu to detect her thoughts. If it weren't for the fact that Lin Yu had experienced her body a few times before, he wouldn't have been able to grasp this woman so tightly at the glazed moon-treading pavilion. With Mo Xianxian and Lin Yu's plan and Madame Golden Lotus cooperation. In addition, so many people had died. Lin Wu had no choice but to believe it. The soul talisman was in her hands. Mo Xianxian didn't stay any longer and immediately left. On the other side, Lin Yu also ended his cultivation. Thank you, young master. The two women in front of him thanked him at the same time. Sensing their cultivation, they felt unprecedentedly good. If we meet someone at the first layer of the law realm now, they definitely won't be our match. Of course, at the very least, we can fight against someone at the second layer of the law realm. Seeing how happy the two women were, Lin Yu only felt a headache coming on. I didn't ask you to follow me to deal with someone at the law realm, Lin Yu said indifferently. The Tianhun sect master, Lin Wu, should be at the half-step Great Emperor realm. He's only one step away from stepping into the true Great Emperor realm of equalization. As soon as he said this, the two women couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. But young master, how can we deal with such a strong opponent? That's right. Even if he's in a perfect state, there's still the supreme realm above the law realm. Compared to the Great Emperor realm of equalization, it's a world of difference. Lin Yu also understood their worries. If it's a real one-on-one battle, I'm afraid you won't even last a breath in the hands of Lin Wu. Lin Yu said again. The two women became even more worried. Wasn't he asking them to come here to die? Young master, you've done us a great favor. Even if you want us to risk our lives, it's fine. Whether it's for us or for the Yi-Dao world, we don't mind sacrificing the two of us for your kindness. Tang Xian and Han Wanqing said one after another. At this moment, Mo Xian arrived at the restaurant. Young master, I've got the soul talisman. I don't need the two of you to sacrifice yourselves. When the time comes, I only need the mutated blood battle body to restrain Lin Wu's awakened divine will. Lin Yu said this and gestured for Mo Xian to enter the room. She saw the two women and Lin Yu on the bed together. Moreover, the two women's faces were slightly flushed. Their foreheads were covered in sweat, and their beautiful hair was soaked. Mo Xian's heart couldn't help but tremble. She couldn't help but curse Lin Yu a few times. She had risked her life to get the soul talisman outside, but this bastard was actually here with two women. Mo Xian became angry as soon as she thought about it. This was the first time she didn't try to hide her anger. I've disturbed you. I'm sure young master isn't in a hurry to get the soul talisman, so I'll take my leave first. It's fine, we're already done. Lin Yu said truthfully, his expression incomparably sincere. Chapter 642. Mo Xian saw that Tang Xian and Han Wanqing didn't look embarrassed at all. Damn it, they're too casual. That's enough. It's not what you think. Lin Yu said faintly. Apart from this sentence, he was too lazy to explain anything else. It has nothing to do with me. Mo Xian snorted and handed over the soul talisman. According to our agreement, I've already brought the soul talisman. It's indeed a soul talisman. Lin Yu smiled and took the soul talisman. He played with it in his hand and looked at Mo Xian with interest. This thing is where the power of the Tianhan sect lies. You're so assured to give it to me? As soon as he said this, Mo Xian's heart tightened. I believe in young master. She finally realized when she trusted Lin Yu so much. In the end, Lin Yu was just an outsider who had nothing to do with her. However, such an outsider could actually make her not have the slightest bit of crooked thoughts. He said he would take the soul talisman, and she would take it? That's enough? I'm just teasing you. Lin Yu smiled and returned the soul talisman to Mo Xian. Mobilize all the disciples of the Tianhan sect and attack the place where the Linwu Grand Academy is cultivating. This, Mo Xian was even more confused. She was a little confused about her actions, but Lin Yu trusted her and returned the soul talisman to her. Mo Xian felt that she was being petty when she saw his indifferent and casual attitude. Sir, are we attacking now? Lin Yu looked at the time. It was already nighttime. The battle outside had already stopped. Although many disciples of the Tianhan sect had died from the internal strife, their overall battle strength was still intact. Without the soul talisman, the forces that Madame Golden Lotus and Mo Xian could mobilize were only small skirmishes. We can begin, Lin Yu said seriously. It's almost time for the Dao Lord Assembly. I understand. Mo Xian tried her best to forget about the matter between Lin Yu and the two women as she excused herself and left. Time slowly passed. There was a feeling of an earthquake in the restaurant. Tang Xian and Han Wanqing came out to take a look and saw millions or even tens of millions of disciples gathering in the main city of the Tianhan sect. In the sky above the Tianhan sect, Mo Xian had changed into a set of capable and experienced clothes. With a soul talisman in her hand, she shouted with her true arm. The headmaster passed by the despair abyss 2 years ago. Mo Xian had already prepared an excuse for the attack. Lin Lin didn't teach her this excuse. As for whether he had thought of this at the last minute, or if he already had the intention to replace him, no one knew. Despair Abyss. Headmaster. Why would the headmaster go to such a place? Rumor has it that the Despair Abyss is the only forbidden zone for humans outside of the 9 worlds of the Sky Desert. It's a gathering place for demonic beasts. Occasionally, some demonic beasts would come out from there. However, the Despair Abyss has been sealed for tens of thousands of years. According to the ancient records, countless human experts, including great monarchs and supremes, attacked the Despair Abyss. They tried to slaughter the 10,000 Beast War Emperor and his army of demonic beasts that invaded the human territory. However, the 10,000 Beast War Emperor hid in the Despair Abyss and sealed it. The human race could not enter the Despair Abyss, and no one dared to go in alone. I didn't expect our headmaster to be injured by the demonic beasts of the Despair Abyss. Lord Mo, how is our headmaster now? After listening, Mo Xian shook her head and sighed. Madame Golden Lotus burst into tears. It was more appropriate for her to say this. The headmaster has been possessed by the 10,000 Beast War Emperor. I'm sure you've heard that our Tianhan sect disciples are often sucked into the bamboo forest. Madame Golden Lotus finished sobbing. The few Tianhan elders who were leading the group all had ugly expressions on their faces. It's strange that our headmaster would harm the disciples of the same sect. Madam, what's the matter with the invasion during the day? This incident had only occurred for a few hours. After obtaining the soul talisman, Mo Xian signaled for Madame Golden Lotus to retreat. The people who retreated followed a secret path back to the Tianhan sect. These people were Madame Golden Lotus's trusted subordinates. The others didn't know what they did. Today, our Tianhan sect chased away the enemy. The headmaster used his last bit of consciousness to pass the soul talisman to me and gave me the final order. Mo Xian took the initiative to speak. She skipped over the matter of the enemy's invasion. However, it didn't matter. Even if the Tianhan sect disciples had doubts, with the soul talisman in hand, Mo Xian was the center of power. The headmaster's final order, could it be that he? That's right. The headmaster was killed by the 10,000 Beast War Emperor. The headmaster in the bamboo forest is only a strand of the 10,000 Beast War Emperor's consciousness. Mo Xian clenched her teeth as if she wanted to take revenge for Master Lin Wu. Mo Xian, swear that I will tear the 10,000 Beast War Emperor into pieces. Her words were filled with anger. With the soul talisman in hand, Mo Xian seemed to be holding everyone's lifeline. When the elders heard this, they were also furious. Mo Xian, Madame Golden Lotus, the soul talisman, and Master Lin Wu had killed many disciples in the past year. They believed her words. Good, we will take revenge for the headmaster. Take revenge for the headmaster. Kill the 10,000 Beast War Emperor. Take revenge for the headmaster and kill the 10,000 Beast War Emperor. Mo Xian suppressed her joy. Was this the highest authority in the Tianhan sect? The bamboo forest was located behind the Tianhan sect's main city. The main city was like a crescent moon that surrounded the bamboo forest, forming a protective barrier. This was supposed to be the safest place in the Tianhan sect. It was also the last line of defense. However, at this moment, the Tianhan sect's army had already surrounded the bamboo forest. In all directions in the sky, thousands of li, they formed an impregnable encirclement. Activate the obsidian dragon trapping array. Mo Xian waved her hand, and the 100,000 disciples immediately activated the array. A huge array was formed in the sky. This array was exactly the same as the one the glazed moon treading tower used outside the heavenly prison. It could drain the obsidian energy under the array, causing the people under the array to have no more energy. To a certain extent, it could even devour the obsidian energy of humans. A large amount of obsidian energy flowed into the array at this moment in the palace in the bamboo forest. Elder Lin Wu's eyes were bloodshot as he sensed the changes in his surroundings. What are these bastards doing? He gritted his teeth. The Downward Conference was about to begin. When Lord Yusu left, it would be the time for him to break through. However, the more critical the situation was, the more troublesome it would be. Impudent! Who dares to cause trouble in my place of cultivation? Elder Lin Wu's voice could be heard. While the Tianhun sect members were shocked, Mo Xian had already spoken. Stop pretending. 10,000 Beast War Emperor. The headmaster is dead. We are here to take revenge for the headmaster. Chapter 643. We're here to avenge our sect leader. Mo Xian's impassioned words caused the Tianhun sect disciples' killing intent to intensify. Not only did you kill our sect leader, you even pretended to be our sect leader to deceive us. Do you really think our Tianhun sect is a pushover? Mo Xian pointed at the bamboo forest palace angrily. Mo Xian, who allowed you to deceive us? Inside the bamboo forest palace, Lin Wu finally understood that he had fallen into Mo Xian's trap. But how did she manage to do it alone? He scanned the crowd with his divine sense and saw Madame Golden Lotus beside Mo Xian. Madam, capture Mo Xian immediately. Tomorrow, your husband will come out of seclusion and punish her severely. Lin Wu said. Madame Golden Lotus's breathing was heavy. Although she was nervous, she knew that she had no way out. You won't be able to come out. My husband is already dead. Stop pretending to be the 10,000 Beast War Emperor. 10,000 Beast War Emperor? Lin Wu was dumbfounded. What did the 10,000 Beast War Emperor have to do with him? Why did Madame Golden Lotus and Mo Xian say that he was the 10,000 Beast War Emperor? While Lin Wu was thinking, Madame Golden Lotus was crying. Even if you can deceive the other disciples, you can't deceive me. I've been husband and wife with my husband for dozens of years. How can I not know that you've been possessed by the 10,000 Beast War Emperor? With her words, the disciples of the Tianhun school felt much more at ease. Damn it, damn bitch. You want to betray me too? Lin Wu was furious. His voice was loud and filled with killing intent, causing the bamboo forest palace to tremble. Suddenly, a ray of light appeared in his body. It was the Tao intent of equalization. Damn it, it's still not enough. Just 6 more hours and the Daolor conference would begin. That would be the safest time. Bitch, if I knew that you wanted to betray me, I wouldn't have just found 10 people to play with you before I went into seclusion. I would have found 100, 1,000, 10,000 people. Lin Wu said. The surrounding qi had been sucked dry by the formation, and the formation in his palace was also beginning to crumble. Without the formation to hide his aura, Lin Wu could only suppress his cultivation. Shut up. Thinking of the humiliation that Lingwu University had inflicted on her in the past, Madame Golden Lotus's last bit of hesitation disappeared and was replaced by an undisguised killing intent. My husband wouldn't be as shameless as you. Die, Wansho War Emperor. She turned to the side and roared, Lord Mo. Understood. Mo Xian's eyes flashed with astonishment. So Madame Golden Lotus and the sect leader were so playful in the past. Others would think that the War Emperor was deliberately humiliating Madame Golden Lotus. However, only Mo Xian knew that the real Linwu University was inside. It was no wonder that Madame Golden Lotus would oppose the sect master. Could it be that young master already knew about this matter? It was impossible to know such a personal matter without the Tianhun sect's daily investigation. Could it be that young master was once in the Tianhun sect? Forget it. Now is not the time to think about this. Mo Xian held the soul talisman in his hand. Kill my sect leader and humiliate my sect mistress. Kill them. In an instant, countless cultivation methods and sacred artifacts were summoned and attacked the palace in the bamboo forest. The light from the battle was like the sun, illuminating the entire heavenly soul sect as bright as day. Explosions could be heard continuously. Linwu University's 7 sovereign intents surrounded his body and formed an indestructible defense, allowing the attacks to hit his surroundings. The formation within the palace was completely destroyed. Even the main body of the palace was constantly shattered and flying out. Huge pieces of rock shot out explosively. Linwu University only defended and didn't attack because he still had to use some energy to suppress his Tao intent of equalization. Damn it, damn it. If I could break through, I would kill these idiots right now. Ling Wuda's expression was extremely ugly. Under the continuous attacks, his condition was slipping away very quickly. In a restaurant far away, Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the battlefield. It seemed that things were going smoothly. Young master, should we make a move? Tang Xian asked. She thought that it was time to deal with Linwu University. Looking at the time, Lin Yu shook his head. There's still 6 hours. There's no hurry. Linwu University couldn't really make a move, and he couldn't make too much of commotion. If he accidentally forced Linwu University into a corner, he would directly break through to the great emperor of equalization. At that time, Taoist Master Yu Su would come here before going to the Taoist Master meeting. His plan to enter the Snow Mountain would be ruined. If he wanted to enter the Snow Mountain, he would have to fight against the Taoist Master. Lin Yu naturally had to be more stable when dealing with an opponent of this level. One wrong step would lead to many wrong steps. On the roof of the pitch-black restaurant, Little Master and Skyblade were together, blending into the moonlight. He looked at the situation of the Tianhun sect. At this moment, Lin Yu was sitting on a mountain and watching the tigers fight. He didn't have to make a move, but he had already made Linwu University restless. I'm afraid I can't compare to Brother Lin's strategy in my entire life. Little Master mocked himself. He was now even more certain of his original decision. He had left the matter of Dao Jun to Lin Yu. At least now, it seemed that Lin Yu had done a much better job than him. Little Master thought that if he had come to save Dao Jun, he might still be in the glazed moon-treading tower and being tortured by Jiang Qingying. Boy from the Murderer's Heart Palace, are you also here to join the fun? While he was thinking, an old man's voice suddenly came from behind Little Master. In an instant, Little Master's Skyblade broke through the roof and was held in his hand. Who are you? The blood in his body flowed faster. The person who spoke didn't make a move, but Little Master felt a great sense of crisis. It was an old man with a slightly hunchback. He was stroking his white beard and looking at him with a smile. The old man was less than 20 feet away from Little Master. However, if the old man hadn't taken the initiative to speak, Little Master wouldn't have been able to discover him at all. This person was as strong as a Taoist master. Don't be nervous. I won't attack a junior. Lu Yoqi chuckled and glanced at the restaurant next to him, where Lin Yu had already looked over. That boy is much more alert than you. He pointed at Little Master and said with a smile, I'm here for him, not you. As he spoke, Lu Yoqi had already disappeared. When he reappeared, he was in front of Lin Yu. Shifting shadows. Little Master narrowed his eyes and clenched his Skyblade. This person's cultivation is at least above the great emperor realm of 6 Tao, of equalization. It doesn't matter. Lin Yu smiled and asked Little Master to leave. The latter could only nod. Grandpa Lu. The two girls bowed. Of course, they remembered that this was Lu Yoqi, whom they had rescued during the day. However, Lu Yoqi had changed into a clean and simple black robe, which was a complete change from his sloppy appearance during the day. The two women were both intelligent beauties. How could they not have some eyesight? Naturally, they could tell that the current Lu Yoqi gave off a sage-like feeling. He was not an ordinary person. Chapter 644. Little girls, we meet again. It's all thanks to the two of you for saving me during the day. Lu Yoqi laughed heartily. With a wave of his hand, an extremely gentle force surged into their bodies. Boom, boom. 2 waves of energy burst out from the two women's bodies. This is a sign of a breakthrough. Tang Xian and Han Wanqing exchanged a glance, their eyes filled with shock and surprise. How could they have imagined that a wave of Lu Yoqi's hand would allow them to break through? Not only were they in disbelief, but even Little Master narrowed his eyes. That was indeed the light of a breakthrough. At this moment, 2 waves of laws surged into their bodies. It was also at this moment that their cultivations broke through the bottleneck of the first level of the law realm. Boom, boom. Their cultivations had stepped into the second level of the law realm. I don't like to owe people favors. Little girls, you've helped me, so I should repay you with some gifts. Lu Yochi smiled faintly. The two girls felt refreshed, and they didn't even feel exhausted like when they broke through to the first level of the law realm. Obviously, this seemingly direct and forceful breakthrough didn't have any side effects at all. Thank you, Senior. The two girls bowed at the same time. Lu Yochi nodded. Old fortune teller, you're not going to tell me your fortune this time? The corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up slightly. Lu Yochi tapped his fingers and smiled. Oh, I haven't met a young man as eloquent as you in many years. How could he not hear that Lin Yu was mocking him for running away during the day when he used the divination technique? Senior Lu, you must be joking. Lin Yu's expression turned solemn as he restrained his smile. The reason why the heavenly desert is so peaceful is all thanks to you. You're on an equal footing with the Azure Sky Downlord. You're also the reason why I'm able to cause trouble here. You have a good eye, extensive knowledge, and meticulous thoughts. Lu Yochi couldn't help but be full of praise. Kid, you've caused chaos in the Tianhun sect without expending a single soldier. Are you plotting something? Senior, why don't you take a guess? I didn't know what you were up to, but... Lu Yochi glanced at Little Master with a smile and said, Are you here for Dao Jun? Do you think you can carelessly claim the name of our ancestor? Little Buddha raised his heavenly saber. When he heard Lu Yochi call Dao Jun an old brat, his eyes were filled with anger. According to seniority, the Saber Sovereign will have to address me as senior when he sees me. Lin Yu stroked his beard. Seeing Lin Yu nod, Little Master put down Skyblade. Senior is indeed amazing. You guessed it right. Lin Yu clapped his hands. However, I'm not from the infinite Dao world. Do you know why I saved Saber Lord, Senior? Kid, you're so cunning. It's no wonder that Song Yuan couldn't catch you even though he issued an arrest warrant for the Dao world. Lin Yu's disguise technique could not deceive Lu Yochi, who had a discerning eye. The latter smiled again and said, Saber Lord will definitely repay kindness. Since you saved him, he will definitely agree to help you get rid of Song Yuan. Senior, you have great wisdom. I admire you. Lin Yu cupped his fists again. Lu Yochi laughed a few times, but the more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was amiss. Kid, you must have other schemes. Lin Yu smiled. This time, he did not answer the other party's question immediately. Instead, he kept him in suspense. Senior, you've returned their favor, but what about me? He pointed at Tang Xin and Han Wanqing. Upon seeing that, Lu Yochi was stunned. The two girls could not help but burst into laughter. Young Master, Grandpa Lu has already treated us very well. Han Wanqing could not help but say that. Although Lu Yochi's seniority seemed to be much higher than Lin Yu's, she felt that he was still young. But as he spoke, he was suppressed by Lin Yu. Fine, then I'll take it as Senior Lu Yochi returning the favor. Lin Yu spread his hands and did not say anything more. Upon seeing that, how could Lu Yochi not understand? Kid, sigh, this old man's Dao cannot be indebted to others. Forget it, tell me. I can't say. Lin Yu smiled faintly. When the time is right, Senior will naturally know how to repay the favor. This Lu Yochi had nothing to do during the day. Now that Lin Yu had done him a favor, it was not too much. Why don't this old man also raise your cultivation by a small realm? Senior, you can't. I don't care about this small realm of cultivation. You can't refuse this old man's kind intentions. Lu Yochi's eyes flashed, and he directly waved his hand. His movement was so fast that it turned into a series of afterimages. That gentle light appeared again and poured into Lin Yu's body. Originally, he thought that Lin Yu, with his little cultivation of the first layer of the law realm, could immediately break through. However, Lu Yochi's power was like a stone sinking into the sea. There was no reaction at all. Impossible. Lu Yochi looked surprised and waved his hand again. Again, there was no reaction at all. Obviously, Lu Yochi's vicious gaze was sizing up Lin Yu. This kid was not pretending. This little bit of power seemed to be unable to raise his cultivation at all. This old man doesn't believe it. Lu Yoqi snorted coldly. His entire arm was enveloped by a white light, and it directly poured into Lin Yu's body. But at the same time, a suction force appeared in Lin Yu's body and began to rapidly devour Lu Yoqi's power. In an instant, Lu Yoqi's consumption exceeded the time when he helped Han Wanqing break through. This consumption continued to climb. Twice. 4 times. 8 times. Senior, don't waste your energy. Lin Yu sighed and shook his head. Lu Yoqi only felt that his power was being sucked away more and more in Lin Yu's body, and he immediately withdrew his hand. His face was full of surprise. If he was a little later, he was afraid that his Tao foundation would be damaged by this kid. This, under the desert, to be able to cultivate the law realm to such an unfathomable realm. Could it be? Lu Yoqi took a deep breath. Kid, you're cultivating the 3 yuan in one realm. Senior has good eyesight. Lin Yu nodded and smiled. There was nothing to hide. Wonderful, wonderful. The 3 yuan in one realm. This old man thought that it was just a joke recorded in ancient books tens of thousands of years ago. Lu Yoqi sighed. But today, I let you appear in front of me. Isn't this a slap to this old man's face? Senior is too stubborn. You could still treat me as an ordinary law realm cultivator. Lin Yu smiled helplessly. He seemed to be comforting Lu Yoqi, but in fact, he added, as long as you remember to return the favor. This sentence almost made Lu Yoqi spit out a mouthful of blood. Lu Yoqi immediately cursed in his heart. Stinking brat, this old man's consumption on you is enough to let more than a dozen first-layer law realm cultivators break through. Yet, all of this power was wasted on you, and I couldn't even return the favor of Han Xing, that little servant, for forcing him to retreat. Chapter 645. Any law realm cultivator would be deeply grateful for the power he had displayed just now and would be able to repay any favor. But it was ultimately a mistake to invest in Lin Yu. Lu Yoqi kept shaking his head. I'm not playing anymore. It's not fun at all. After saying that, the Lu Yoqi jumped down from the restaurant. When he swung his arms, he gave off the feeling of an old urchin. However, Lu Yoqi had been carefree for many years. He didn't expect to meet a tough guy like Lin Yu today. Farewell, senior. Lin Yu bowed again. Before Lu Yoqi returned the favor, he still had to be polite. Sir, where did senior Lu Yoqi come from? I'm also curious. Senior's power is unfathomable. If you weren't here, I'm afraid we wouldn't even dare to speak to senior. Shrugging, Lin Yu smiled and said, 8 Tao balanced Great Emperor Realm. He didn't say much. However, for Tang Xian and Han Wanqing, 8 balanced Great Emperor Realm cultivators were enough to shock them. It wasn't just them. Little Master, who was on the roof next door, also had a serious expression. In his memory, there were only 2 people in the Sky Desert universe who had reached 8 balanced Great Emperors. One was the Tao Master of Jade Sky. The other was actually him. He's the Tao Master of Heaven Rise. Little Master said in a daze. Time passed slowly. Another 2 hours passed. Inside the Tianhun sect, the attacks of 1,000,000 disciples were still there. At this moment, the Tianhun sect master had already used up more than 50% of his energy. These traitorous bastards. I'll definitely kill all of you later. Master Lin clenched his teeth. Only 2 more hours. Just 2 more hours. When the light of dawn covered the land, Tao Master Yusu would leave the Jade Su Dao world. That would be the time for him to break through. For now, he could only endure. Just as Lin Yu said, the current attacks didn't make him feel that his life was in danger. Therefore, he wouldn't break through immediately and get rid of this group of people. Unfortunately, Master Lin didn't know that Lin Yu was cooking a frog in warm water for him. Another 2 hours had passed. At this moment, Master Lin had used up 90% of his energy. However, it was time for the Daolord Conference to be held. Lin Yu looked beyond the sky where the sun of the Jade Silk Dao world had risen once again. There was a snowy mountain somewhere in the Jade Silk Dao world. I'm going to the Taoist Council. I won't let anyone enter this place. On the snowy mountain, as soon as the old man finished speaking, he disappeared from the snowy mountain. Disher knelt down on one knee as he nodded. However, a trace of hesitation could already be seen in his eyes. The Dowlord Assembly is open. Will that guy really be able to find this place? He looked down at the constantly changing scenery outside the snowy mountain. The snowy mountain was shuttling back and forth within the Jade Silk realm at an extremely fast speed. Other than the three heavenly sovereigns and himself, no one could easily lock onto its position. If he can't come up, I can lead the way for him. Disher mused. Compared to the opening of the snow mountain, he was more interested in how Lin Yu would resolve the questions in his heart. Put the matter of Lin Yu aside for now. We'll talk about it after I get some information from old man Song Yuan. Suddenly, Dowlord Jade Silk returned, scaring Disher so much that the hair on his back stood up. Yes, disciple. Disher put away his thoughts and sent Dowlord Jade Silk away again. Dowlords could easily sense great emperors of balance who could threaten their position. However, it was difficult to find someone like Lin Yu, who was only in the law realm. Therefore, they could only search for Lin Yu slowly. Just like the day when Lin Yu was trapped, in this world where strength was respected, sometimes it was easier to find out some secrets when one was only in the mortal realm. After all, in the eyes of existences like Dowlord Jade Silk, those in a mortal realm couldn't even be compared to ants. No one would bother or even make things difficult for a youth in the mortal realm. That kid came to my Dowlord Jade Silk realm. Strange, strange. Dowlord Jade Silk shook her head and left behind a sentence. She looked at the time and disappeared from the snow mountain again. Disher heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that she really left this time. However, he couldn't help but clench his fists tightly. A great emperor of balance. My cultivation is still too far away from the Dowlord realm. He muttered to himself. At the same time, in the Tianhun sect, Lu Yochi looked in the direction of the restaurant and the main city. Juniors, go ahead. The Sky Desert universe has been peaceful for too long. It's time for this old man to move around. As he spoke, he disappeared from the Tianhun sect like Dowlord Jade Silk realm. In the center of the Sky Desert universe, on a small continent, 9 extremely powerful auras gathered at the same time. In the Tianhun sect's bamboo forest palace, Lin Wu roared. His eyes were bloodshot, but he was extremely excited. He's gone. He's finally gone. It's time for me to break through. He formed a seal with both hands, and an embryonic Tao of balance shot out. With Lin Wu as the center, it swept out. The million-strong Tianhun army was shocked. This is the power of the Transcendent Supreme Will. Damn it. The remnant soul of the 10,000 Beast War Emperor is actually so powerful. He can kill the sect leader. Of course he's powerful. Let's go. On the commander's seat, Mo Xian narrowed her eyes. She thought that Lin Wu was already at the end of his rope. She didn't expect him to still have so much energy left. However, in the next moment, a figure slowly stepped out of the rubble on the ground that was already riddled with holes. I'm going to kill all of you. Lin Wu had been sullen for an entire night. Now, his killing intent had reached its peak. In the next moment, an illusory human figure appeared between his eyebrows. Although this humanoid figure only floated between his eyebrows and was only the size of a finger, it actually looked exactly the same as Lin Wu. The moment this human figure appeared, his eyes turned into 2 rays of purple light. Madame Golden Lotus and Mo Xian suddenly felt that something was wrong. However, in the next moment, the human figure opened his mouth and roared at the million-strong army in the sky. Roar. This roar wasn't from cultivation or any supreme will attack. It was a divine will attack. This divine will attack was even more powerful than any divine will technique in the Tianhun sect. It was just a simple roar. However, this roar was enough to send shockwaves across hundreds of thousands of feet. Even Han Wanqing and the other girl, who were in the restaurant far away, heard the roar. What? What is this? Divine will attack. It's a very powerful divine will attack. While the 2 girls were shocked, Lin Yu was excited. He stepped into the air and didn't retreat. Instead, he rushed towards the main city of the Tianhun sect. Little Master also approached the main city. When Han Wanqing and the other girl saw this, they also followed. The strange thing was that the divine will attack didn't affect them at all. Chapter 646. Young Master. When Lin Yu appeared, Mo Xian immediately suppressed the pain caused by the divine will attack. Madame Golden Lotus also stepped forward. What should we do? Is your master not here yet? She looked down at Linwu University. Her hair was messy, and the little figure between her eyebrows was roaring, forming a whirlpool of divine sea of qi. The million-strong army was so focused that they couldn't fight back. Not only that, but their divine will also felt a stabbing pain, and many disciples were already vomiting blood. He's still so powerful after a whole night. No wonder he's an awakened divine will. Lin Yu smiled. He wasn't worried at all. Instead, he was excited. Do you want me to kill him? Little Master appeared. There's no hurry. The equalization Tao intent has gradually taken shape. Now, Linwu University has a temporary equalization Tao intent. Lin Yu shook his head. We have to break his awakened divine will first. Then, Han Wanqing and Tang Xin immediately knew what they had to do. Tang Xin closed her eyes, and a strange light burst out from her slender body. Mutated blood battle body. Little Master's eyes widened. It said that the mutated blood battle body is 1 in a million. Not only can it speed up the absorption of Yao Qi, but it can also help a cultivator who can perfectly control the mutated blood battle body and become invincible among his peers. That's right. Lin Yu nodded with a smile. There's one more thing. The mutated blood battle body restrains the awakened divine will. What? Little Master was surprised. He didn't know about this at all. Little Master finally recognized the little figure between Linwu University's eyebrows. That thing was Linwu University's awakened divine will. No wonder he's so much stronger than Jiang Qingying and Ma Teng. Only then did Little Master understand everything. Stainless, Tang Xin said slowly. Her mutated blood battle body was activated to the extreme, and a sacred light swept out, covering a radius of 100,000 feet. Due to the difference in cultivation, the range she could cast was much smaller than Linwu University's awakened divine will. However, as Lin Yu said, the mutated blood battle body restrained the awakened divine will. At this moment, the holy light of the immaculate combat body enveloped the million disciples of the heavenly soul realm. In the minds of these disciples, the pain caused by Linwu University instantly disappeared. Is this the arrival of the goddess? They looked over and saw a beautiful woman bathed in divine light, continuously releasing her own light. The light collided with the small figure's divine sense. You're courting death. Lin Wu's gaze fell upon Tang Xin. Activating the little man between his eyebrows, he gathered his divine sense and formed an extremely sharp divine sense spear. The long spear was too fast, and it shot towards Tang Xin in an instant. But in the next moment, Han Wanqing also took a step forward, and her entire body erupted with the same holy white light as Tang Xion's. The only difference was that Han Wanqing's light was incomparably cold, as if it was the coldest power in the world. A layer of ice also appeared on her snow-white skin at this moment. Frost Beauty Battle Body. Han Wanqing's gaze was sharp. She gritted her teeth and rushed in front of Tang Xin. The Frost Battle Body covered his entire body. Han Wanqing had shockingly turned into an ice mirror. When the Divine Sense Spear hit the mirror, it was directly sucked into the mirror. Damn it, that's the mutant blood battle body. Lin Wu's gaze was fixed on the two women's hands. Together with Madame Golden Lotus and Mo Xian. He finally understood. These four women came prepared today to kill him. I am a 19th generation Tianhan sect master. Please bless me, ancestors. Today, I will step into the great emperor of equalization and clean up the Tianhan sect. The awakened divine sense was dissolved, and Lin Wu retracted it between his eyebrows. His voice spread in all directions, and in the next moment, the Tao of equalization on his body reached its peak. Just a little bit more, and Lin Wu would become the first of the Jade Silk World's 3 great sovereigns to step into the great emperor of equalization. But at this moment, Han Wanqing and Tang Xian weakly took a few steps back, and Lin Yu caught them in his arms. "They'll follow you first," Lin Yu said to Mo Xianxian. After seeing the 2 women reveal their mutant blood battle bodies, Mo Xianxian realized that although her cultivation was higher than theirs in terms of talent, the 2 women seemed to be better than her. No wonder Lin Yu would first. At this moment, Lin Yu stood in front of them, and a brocade box appeared in his hand. "If you don't want to die, get out of the way." His angry voice rang out, and the Tianhun disciples were stunned. Under Mo Xianxian's order, they retreated quite a distance. The battlefield gradually expanded to cover the entire Tianhun sect. At this moment, Lin Wu had already stepped into the air, and above the firmament, a terrifying aura suddenly descended. It was the Tao of equalization of the starry sky. It was like a divine light that bathed Lin Wu. "Yusu, you can't allow us to step into the great emperor of equalization, but so what? In the end, you still miscalculated." Lin Wu felt his cultivation skyrocketing, and the 7 Tao of sovereigns in his body began to be refined one by one. They gathered in the Tao of equalization. 1 Tao, 2 Tao, 3 Tao. Cough. Lin Wu's injuries were extremely severe, and he couldn't help but cough out a mouthful of old blood. "I can do it! I can do it!" He gritted his teeth. His cultivation had already been greatly exhausted, and now he was forced to retreat after awakening his divine will. If Lin Wu didn't step into the great emperor of equalization now, what awaited him was an arrow at the end of its flight and a fish on the chopping block. 4 Tao, 5 Tao. His Tao of sovereigns was constantly being refined. Suddenly, a young man's voice rang out in front of him. "May I ask if you're the sect master of the Tianhun sect?" "Who are you?" Lin Wu was instantly shocked. Someone actually dared to walk in under his breakthrough divine light. Was this person courting death? "I am Lin Yu, and I would like to ask for your help." Lin Yu, the person wanted by the vast abyss sect master. Lin Wu's eyes widened, and a bad feeling rose in his heart. It would be fine if the person in front of him was just an ordinary law realm cultivator. But he said that he was Lin Yu. He still remembered that when he was in seclusion, the Jade Su battle god Dishur had come to look for Lin Yu. It was just that the Lin Wu Great Master had no idea where Lin Yu was and could only reject Dishur outside the bamboo forest. But today, Lin Yu had appeared in front of him like a ghost, and it was during his breakthrough. Look at the direction he came from. This kid came from Madame Golden Lotus and Mo Xianxian. "You're the helper those 2 bitches invited?" If Lin Yu admitted it, Lin Wu wouldn't mind using the Tao of sovereigns to kill Lin Yu right now. However, Lin Yu's gaze was calm as he said slowly, "Sect Master Tianhun, you're wrong." "Wrong?" Lin Wu's heart tightened. The Tao of sovereigns that he could use had already locked onto Lin Yu, and he could slash at any time. "They're your helpers." "You're right." Lin Yu nodded and smiled. He had already taken out the Navagraha golden pill and swallowed it with a gulp. Lin Wu was furious. All the humiliation he suffered last night was because of you. "Kid, you dare to scheme against me? Die." Chapter 647. As Lin Wu roared, he was determined to kill Lin Yu. However, he thought deeper. Lin Yu represented the vast abyss Tao Master's 10 years of comprehension as a great emperor. "It's a pity to kill you just like that." He changed his mind. The divine light didn't attack Lin Yu directly. Instead, it appeared around Lin Yu and trapped him. "Young master!" The women behind him shouted worriedly. They all wanted to help Lin Yu. However, little master, Heavenly Saber, held his saber horizontally and stopped the girls. "He's fine," little master said confidently. At this moment, he could feel Lin Yu's aura skyrocketing. Brother Lin must already have a plan. If we rashly let these people go up to help him, it might backfire. He thought to himself. Madame Golden Lotus and Mo Xianxian finally recognized each other. "Your little master Tian Dao, Murderous Heart Palace's #1 prodigy in 10,000 years. Madame Golden Lotus and Mo Xian spoke one after another. I'm Brother Lin's friend. Little Master nodded casually. Lin Yu's aura had reached the peak of the first firmament of the law realm. The 9 luminaries' golden pill was being refined by his own luminaries' chi and integrated into his cultivation. 90%, 100%, great perfection. It's about time. Lin Yu smiled. The light of a breakthrough suddenly appeared in his body. At the same time, the clouds in the sky changed color. What's that? All of them raised their heads with astonishment, and they saw an expanse of dark clouds that were over 100,000 m tall, had actually enveloped the sky above them. The 10,000 Beast War Emperor's evil light is still there. The dark clouds even covered the evil light. Heavenly tribulation. It's the heavenly tribulation for a breakthrough. How can that young man suddenly attract such a terrifying heavenly tribulation? As the crowd discussed among themselves, they circulated their cultivation bases and took a few more steps back. Madame Golden Lotus, Mo Xian, and the others finally understood why Lin Yu asked them to retreat from the beginning. This heavenly tribulation was too powerful. The thunderbolts were hidden in the dark clouds, making it impossible to see their full appearance. However, lightning was surging in every corner of the 300,000-meter wide dark cloud. The Tianhun sect will be finished once the lightning strikes. Activate the formation. Activate the Great Sect Protection Formation. No one could have guessed that Lin Yu could actually summon such a powerful lightning tribulation. At this moment, even though the 1,000,000 disciples had already started to activate the formation, their hearts were still beating rapidly. The most surprised was Linwu University. Could this be the heavenly tribulation for me to break through to the great emperor of equilibrium? His supremacies had already reached the 6th level, but now the divine light was blocked. Lin Wu was overjoyed. It seems that I am a heaven-gifted genius that can attract such heavenly tribulation. I don't need Blue Abyss's 10 years of enlightenment. When Lin Yu heard this, he knew that Master Lin Wu was going to use his balanced Great Emperor Realm power to kill him. He smirked and said calmly, "Are you sure this is your heavenly tribulation?" Then, Lin Yu no longer suppressed his cultivation. In an instant, the second nomological law of his cultivation base had been condensed. Since it suppressed your Tao, divine light, I will name it after the law of Tao light. Lin Yu said firmly. He looked down from above and opened his arms, looking like a king descending to the world. His voice was like thunder, shaking the surroundings. 3 elements combined. The combined rune between his eyebrows also began to operate. At this moment, 2 figures that looked exactly like Lin Yu appeared around him. One was his battle physique clone. The other was his divine consciousness clone. These 2 clones were actually stronger than Lin Yu's original body. They both had the cultivation of the 2nd firmament of the law, the aura of the battle physique. He is a combat cultivator. Not only that, but he also has divine consciousness. This person is actually a divine cultivator. Strange. How did he cultivate 3 different methods at the same time? Everyone was shocked by Lin Yu again. Even prodigies like Mo Xian and Little Buddha were speechless at this moment. Just like Luo Shaochen in the past, no matter how powerful a genius was, they could only look up to Lin Yu's 3 elements in one and could not surpass him. Because this cultivation method only existed in legends. Compared to the mutant blood battle physique and the awakened divine consciousness, the 3 elements in one realm was the real challenge. Combine. As soon as Lin Yu said that, the Combine rune was activated to the extreme. 2 figures were constantly approaching Lin Yu. 2 rays of light burst out from the battle physique clone. They were the Harmony Law and the Supreme Law. 2 rays of light also burst out from the Divine Consciousness clone. They were the Eternal Law and the Dragon God Law. At this moment, Lin Yu's original body had a ray of light. It was the Heaven Tao Law that he had copied from the first place on the blacklist. It symbolized the Feng Yi Dao world. And now, the second ray of light was condensing at the same time. The light enveloped his body. The breakthrough divine light from Tianhun Sect's great Linwu was being absorbed by the combined rune. Bastard, you dare to absorb my strength? Great Linwu immediately wanted to disperse his strength, but the terrifying absorption force of the combined rune shocked him again. This is a divine object. Impossible. You actually have a divine object? If it was in the past, Lin Yu, who is equivalent to 10 years of comprehension at the Great Emperor realm, would appear. Great Lin Wu was overjoyed to have another divine object, but now his strength was restrained and the heaven tribulation was about to form and descend. Since you said it's your heaven tribulation, I'll leave it to you. Lin Yu waved his hands and landed on the ground. The bird that sticks out gets shot. With the heaven tribulation descending, Great Lin Wu was already extremely weak. In addition, he was in a state of breaking through and was restrained by the combined rune for a few breaths. He had no time to dodge at all. Run quickly. Descend, don't step on the air. All of you land on the ground. The Tianhun sect disciples scattered, but the only one who could not leave was Great Lin Wu. This is my heaven tribulation. I'll bear it myself. This old man is going to undergo the heaven tribulation. This old man is only one breath away from stepping into the great emperor realm of equalization. Great Lin Wu's roar sounded. His cultivation erupted, comparable to a half-step great emperor realm of equalization, and he faced the heaven tribulation head-on. This old man is a great emperor of equalization. This old man has awakened divine will. This old man also has the potential to become a great emperor. Great Lin Wu raised his arms, and within the dark clouds, there was a thunderbolt that symbolized the heavens and earth. His gaze locked on Lin Yu. However, Great Lin Wu was in the middle of Lin Yu. The dark clouds formed a pitch-black storm that connected the heavens and earth. The heaven tribulation contained within it descended. Great Lin Wu gathered strength in his palms and struck directly at the heaven tribulation. The Tao intent of equalization that had yet to fully form collided with Lin Yu's second heaven tribulation of the law realm. Chapter 648. Rumble. Boom, 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 boom. The sky and earth changed dozens of times in an instant. Some aftershocks of the lightning struck the main city of the Heavenly Soul Sect. Bang, bang, bang. Countless buildings were destroyed like dried weeds and rotten wood. The power of this lightning actually surpassed that of ordinary lightning. The hair and clothes of the people of the Heavenly Soul Sect fluttered in the wind. They were in a sorry state as they hid in the defense array in shock and fear. This array could not be the same size as the Thunder Tribulation. The periphery had been penetrated, which was why it had spread to the buildings below. On the other hand, Lin Yu and the rest watched as Lingwu University continued to resist the lightning tribulation. Crack, crack. The aura in Lin Yu's body had stabilized. 6 nomological laws existed in his body at the same time and had reached an unprecedented equilibrium. He had officially stepped into the second heaven of the law realm. Suddenly, Lin Yu's gaze locked on the sky. The Thunder Tribulation had disappeared. The Lingwu University had disappeared as well. Is he dead? That damned 10,000 Beast War Emperor is finally dead. We have avenged the sect master. Everyone was in high spirits. Mo Xian and Madame Golden Lotus also looked at each other. Congratulations, madam. Same to you. However, Madame Golden Lotus found it strange that Ma Teng had not appeared yet. She was even more puzzled. The famous wanted man in the Tao world, Lin Yu, was actually Qin Wenyan. Madame Golden Lotus suddenly wondered if she had been deceived by Lin Yu. This matter had nothing to do with Ma Teng at all. However, just as she was about to ask Lin Yu, the latter stepped into the air. Lin Yu's movement technique was faster than ever before. In an instant, he arrived at the place where the Lingwu University had died. A warrior will die and his cultivation will dissipate. However, an awakened spiritual force will not die so easily. Lin Yu murmured. The fusion rune appeared between his eyebrows, and a tyrannical suction force appeared once again. At the same time, Lin Yu executed the spiritual force Great Emperor's soul-devouring technique. What is he doing? Young Master's actions are not something we can guess. In short, we've achieved a complete victory today. Whether it was Mo Xian or Madame Golden Lotus, they both wanted to eliminate Lingwu University. As for the reason Lin Yu gave, it wasn't important. Therefore, when Lin Yu disguised himself as Qin Wunyan, they did not blame Lin Yu. In the sky, the soul-devouring grand art had locked onto the divine sense within a radius of 1,000 feet. At the same time, the fusion rune began to operate again. Whoosh, whoosh. With Lin Yu as the center, countless streams of air suddenly rolled back. Specks of light suddenly appeared in the air. These specks of light exuded a power that could penetrate one's divine sense. Lin Yu continued to gather them together. Oh no, the Wanshou War Emperor is still alive. Is that the little person in between his eyebrows? It doesn't matter. Since that young man was able to discover it, he must have a way to solve it. Everyone saw that Lingwu University's awakened divine sense had finished gathering. The moment it appeared again, the awakened divine sense faced Lin Yu with a ruthless expression. Just as he was about to roar, Lin Yu grabbed his throat. Even without Lingwu University, I can still open the snow mountain after refining your sovereign soul. Lin Yu spoke calmly and activated the fusion rune. The unity of heaven and man talisman could refine and merge all things. The awakened divine sense continued to struggle. At this moment, he was no longer Lingwu University. He was just a furious, awakened divine sense that wanted to escape. It could be said that this was Lingwu University's second consciousness. Lin Yu would not give his enemy a chance to make a comeback. He refined the awakened divine sense. In Lin Yu's hand, the purest energy appeared. This energy did not have any impurities. It was a pure sovereign soul. From this moment on, Lin Yu had gathered the sovereign blood, sovereign bone, sovereign meridian, and sovereign soul. I'm at the third firmament of the law realm. Perhaps I can borrow these 4 energies to break through to the sovereign stage? Lin Yu thought to himself. These 4 energies were too majestic. They were enough for him to step into the third firmament of the third firmament. He could even reach the perfect sovereign stage. At that time, even if Lin Yu encountered a great emperor balance, he would have the power to fight. There's not much time left. Lin Yu looked at the time and brought Little Master and Madame Golden Lotus to the glazed moon treading tower. He needed Little Master's combat strength to save Dao Jun. As for Madame Golden Lotus, Lin Yu promised to let her meet Ma Teng. He would definitely do it. As for Mo Xian, Tang Xian, and Han Wanqing, Lin Yu left them in the Tianhan sect. Where are we going? Madame Golden Lotus was puzzled. Glazed moon treading tower. Ma Teng is waiting for you there. After saying that casually, Lin Yu led them into the teleportation array. The scene in front of them changed instantly. Under Madame Golden Lotus and Little Master's shocked gazes, the 3 of them had already returned to the glazed moon treading tower. Greetings, Master. When the female disciples of the glazed moon treading tower saw Lin Yu, they all half-knelt to welcome him. You're from the glazed moon treading tower? Madame Golden Lotus immediately felt that something was amiss. Just as she was about to run away, Lin Yu stopped her. I promised to let you meet Ma Teng. Are you sure you want to leave now? After hearing that, Madame Golden Lotus stopped in her tracks. She could not question Lin Yu because Lin Yu had said that he would kill Lingwu Da, and he really did it. Master, in the glazed moon treading tower, Lu Yanqing bowed and came out to welcome him. Bring me to the prison. Lin Yu did not explain. Lu Yanqing had already taken the lead. The 3 of them entered the prison. At this moment, Jiang Qingying and Ma Teng no longer struggled as they did in the past. The 2 of them sat cross-legged. He had the air of an expert who was calm and collected. However, when Ma Teng saw Lin Yu, his old eyes lit up. Young Master Qin is here. Ma Teng pays his respects. He bowed and saluted Lin Yu. Lore Hall Master is truly a hero of the age. You're still calm and collected even when Mount Tai collapses. I admire you, Lin Yu said with a faint smile. As soon as he said that, Ma Tang's Dao heart immediately shattered. He knelt down with a horrified expression. Young Master Qin, you want to kill me? Shameless. Jiang Qingying, who was at the side, looked at him with disdain. She had already felt helpless because of this old fellow's change in attitude several times. He always acted high and mighty in front of others. However, when it came to Lin Yu, he would cower faster than anyone else and kneel more straightforwardly than anyone else. Lord Hall Master, there's no need to be so courteous. Look at who I brought you. Lin Yu smiled faintly and moved aside. Behind him was Madame Golden Lotus. This, Golden Lotus, it's really you. Ma Minqing, you heartless man. I finally met you. Madame Golden Lotus approached Ma Teng's cell while crying and held his hand. Sai, how many times have I told you? Don't call me by my stage name when there are outsiders around. Ma Teng shook his head and touched Madame Golden Lotus's hand. He looked as if he wanted to relive old memories. By the way, why are you here? Ling Wuda, that old thief, didn't do anything to you, right? Chapter 649. No. Madame Golden Lotus cupped her fists at Lin Yu. Linwu University has already died at the hands of young master. She wasn't a fool and naturally understood the current situation. Lin Yu said that he came from the Seven Fiends Hall of the Netherworld and was also Ma Teng's disciple. This was obviously fake. Lin Yu had always been the true mastermind behind scenes. Master Ling Wu is dead. Haha, is Master Ling Wu really dead? Ma Teng couldn't help but laugh. Golden Lotus, in the future, you can truly follow this old man. Okay. Madame Golden Lotus shyly lowered her head. Jiang Qingying, who had once been Ma Teng's sweetheart, was watching with burning eyes. Ahem, don't be in such a hurry to think about the future. Lin Yu said indifferently. Ma Teng and Madame Golden Lotus felt their hearts tighten, while Jiang Qingying was overjoyed. That's right. Young Master Qin is in charge here. Young Master Qin, this adulterous couple has offended public morals. Why don't we just kill them on the spot? Jiang Qingying, you and I were just putting on a show in the past. Why do you have to bear a grudge and make things difficult for me now? Young Master Qin is a righteous man. How can he listen to a woman like you? Bitch, Ma Minqing is my man. Don't even think about separating us. Young Master Qin, you promised me. These three people with emotional entanglements kept talking, and Lin Yu was already a little impatient. That's enough. Wait until I find a snow mountain, then you guys can continue arguing. The moment Lin Yu waved his hand, he sent Madame Golden Lotus flying. The latter's eyes were filled with astonishment. She did not expect that Lin Yu, who seemed to be at the second firmament of the law realm, would actually be able to shake off her supreme stage cultivation. As expected of a figure that even the vast abyss sect master had a headache over. Don't hurt Golden Lotus. Young Master Qin, I'll agree to anything you say. Minqing, you're the best. Ma Teng and Jinlian looked at each other and shouted. Lin Yu had no choice but to release the prison cell. Follow me. He had no intention of using Madame Golden Lotus to threaten Ma Teng, but since the latter thought so, it didn't matter. They walked up one floor after another. Jiang Qingying and Ma Teng, who had regained their freedom, were extremely astonished. Lin Yu let them go so easily. Was he really not afraid that they would run away? It's best if you don't try anything funny, Lu Yanqing said coldly. She stopped at one of the steps and turned back to look at Jiang Qingying. Master skills are no less powerful than yours. In addition, Little Master of the Killing Heart Palace is here to keep watch. If anyone dares to disobey, Master can kill him immediately. She knew Jiang Qingying very well. This person might be prepared to run away as soon as he got out. However, Lu Yanqing still didn't understand. Speaking of understanding, Lin Yu understood Jiang Qingying even better. Moreover, he had already used the blood sacrificial heart refining spell on Jiang Qingying earlier. Don't worry. How can I be that kind of person? Jiang Qingying said coldly. Since I've promised young Master Qin, I'll naturally fulfill my promise. Hearing Jiang Qingying admitting defeat, Lu Yanqing did not say anything. The prison was filled with cries of grievances from different prisoners. Everyone slowly went up. When Ma Teng saw Jiang Qingying admitting defeat, he also saw Lin Yu and Little Master in front. Min Qing, don't have any bad intentions. Just do as young master says. How could Madame Golden Lotus not see through the thoughts of her former lover? She immediately warned him. Young master is more powerful than you think. The outcome of Lin Wu's sect is very tragic. Yes, I understand. Hearing Madame Golden Lotus's words, Ma Teng's heart tightened. He was very clear about Lin Wu's sect's ability. Such a powerful person, who is the leader of the 3 heavenly sovereigns, had been killed by Lin Yu in just 2 days. Until now, he and Jiang Qingying were still in disbelief. Everyone left the prison. They came to the open space outside. This place was surrounded by countless disciples of the glazed moon stepping tower. They had set up an array, and it was impossible to escape. You don't need me to teach you how to lock onto the position of the snow mountain, right? Lin Yu said plainly without turning back. Jiang Qingying and Ma Teng looked at each other and were in a difficult position. Young Master Qin, there seems to be one person missing now. Jiang Qingying knew that Ma Teng was a coward and did not dare to speak, so she could only brace herself and ask. Lin Wu's sect's share is here. Lin Yu raised his right hand, and a divine consciousness gathered in his palm, forming a human figure sitting cross-legged. This human figure no longer had the original appearance of Lin Wu's sect, as it had been completely refined by Lin Yu. However, its origin had not changed, and it could still lock onto the position of the snow mountain on behalf of Lin Wu's sect. This, Lin Wu's sect, is really dead? How could Jiang Qingying not recognize it? This was the awakened divine consciousness that Lin Wu's sect was so proud of. However, this awakened divine consciousness was in Lin Yu's hands. Moreover, it was no longer as violent as before. It had obviously been refined by Lin Yu. This could only mean one thing. Lin Wu's sect had really died in the hands of Lin Yu. We understand. Jiang Qingying nodded and no longer hesitated. She formed a seal with both hands. A ray of light slowly emerged from between her eyebrows. That was her divine consciousness. The method to find the snow mountain's position was in her divine consciousness. What about you? Without waiting for Lin Yu to speak again, Ma Teng had already made the same move. Countless female disciples looked over and saw the 2 former overlords of Jade Silk acting submissively in front of Lin Yu. They could not help but take a few more glances at the young man. A man like young Master Qin is really too attractive. Don't let your thoughts run wild. He's not a man we can fantasize about. Be careful that the Tower Master doesn't want our lives. A divine consciousness also flew out from between Ma Teng's eyebrows. This divine consciousness turned into a complicated pattern. Looking over, it was actually a formation. However, the formation was not complete. In the next moment, that divine consciousness merged with Jiang Qingying's. 2/3 of the entire formation had already appeared. Lin Yu activated the Supreme Soul in his hand, and a divine consciousness was also extracted from that soul. The array that belonged to Lingwu University had finally fused together perfectly. The 3 Supremes request an audience with the sect master. Ma Teng and Jiang Qingying shouted at the same time. At first, the formation was only the size of a palm. However, when the voices were heard, it seemed to resonate and spun faster. 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet. When the formation reached 30 feet, it spun even faster, gradually stirring up a storm, causing the skirts of the surrounding female disciples of Glazed Moon's stepping tower to dance. Soon, a ray of light shot out from the formation. This ray of light was 5-colored and turned into a 5-colored eagle. The eagle did not have any vitality and was clearly not a living creature. However, when it appeared, it seemed to be searching for something. Soon, the 5-colored eagle locked onto a direction and flew over at an extremely fast speed. Chapter 650. Lin Yu quickly followed him, and so did Little Master. glazed moon treading tower. The rest of you stay here and continue to defend. Lin Yu ordered and looked at Jiang Qingying and Ma Teng at the same time. The two of you are free to leave. They were free. He had given them freedom just like that. Min Qing, where are we going? Madame Golden Lotus immediately asked as she watched Lin Yu and Little Master leave. Tower Lord Jiang, this place doesn't seem to accommodate you. I can tell that Tower Lord Jiang doesn't dare to defy young Master Qin. Would you like to travel with us? How could Jiang Qing not tell from Ma Teng's seemingly righteous words that this old man was harboring evil intentions? Two women and a man roaming the world? Old thing, you may look ugly, but your thoughts are quite beautiful. Jiang Qingying's angry voice was heard. She did not give Ma Teng any face at all. Ma Teng was about to speak, but Jiang Qingying had already turned around and entered the prison. Why did she go back again? Madame Golden Lotus asked in surprise. Who knows? She's a crazy woman. Ma Teng snorted coldly. Just as he was about to leave with Madame Golden Lotus, he thought again. Min Qing, what's wrong? No. If we open the snow mountain rashly and young Master Qin causes trouble, I'm afraid the sect master will find trouble with me when he blames me. Ma Teng patted his knee. The seven demons' hall of the netherworld was gone. The glazed moon treading tower was now the best place to hide. At this thought, Ma Teng immediately turned around and rushed into the prison. Tower Lord Jiang, I'll come in and take refuge with you. Min Qing. Madame Golden Lotus froze and followed him in. Lu Yanqing, who was at the side, stood rooted to the ground. Besides her, the other female disciples of the glazed moon treading tower were the same. They only felt that the relationship between these three people was a little messy. The five-colored eagle flew out of the glazed moon treading tower's starry sky domain and rushed into the southern part of the Jade Silk Dao world. It can lead us to the Snow Mountain? Little Master followed beside Lin Yu. Sure, Lin Yu nodded. Although he had never seen this thing before, from the reactions of the three heavenly sovereigns and Dishur, he knew that the five-colored eagle had some sort of connection with the Snow Mountain. Whoosh, whoosh. In the starry sky, three wind-breaking sounds erupted one after another. 2 hours later, the five-colored eagle dissipated. Lin Yu and Little Master were astonished. This was just a seemingly ordinary part of the starry sky. Did something go wrong? Little Master said. Lin Yu looked around and suddenly felt a chill. He extended his finger and spread out his divine telekinesis to sense the source of the cold air. DUI position. Lin Yu immediately shifted. When he appeared again, he stopped in front of the starry sky. Brother Lin. Little Master rushed over. Although there was still nothing in front of him, he felt a chill on his face. The Snow Mountain is here. Lin Yu stepped forward. The void in front of him began to change. There was a flash before their eyes. When they reappeared, the wind and snow blew against their faces. They were already at the foot of the Snow Mountain. As expected, Lin Yu smiled and looked behind him. The Snow Mountain couldn't be seen from the outside, so it was impossible to find its real location. From the inside, they could clearly see the scene outside moving back. Obviously, the entire Snow Mountain was moving at high speed. Lin Yu didn't stay any longer and walked up slowly. The Snow Mountain was tens of thousands of feet high. It was impossible for ordinary people to step on it. Fortunately, for Little Master and Lin Yu, even if the wind and snow were extremely strong, there was still a bone-chilling cold that could break through their defense. However, it wasn't difficult to reach the top of the mountain. However, when they reached the foot of the mountain, a figure appeared in front of them. Dishur. Clang. Little Master held his heavenly blade. You want to stop us? He looked at Dishur with vigilance. Brother Lin, you go up first. It's fine. Lin Yu raised his hand and signaled him not to make a move. He smiled at Dishur and said, Lin Yu has come as promised. I wonder if Battle God Yisu is ready? Can you really solve the doubts in my heart? Dishur murmured and looked at Lin Yu in surprise. Dishur felt heartfelt admiration towards the fact that Dao Master Yisu was able to find this place when Dao Master Yisu had just left. Even though Lin Yu still looked calm and composed, Dishur understood that it would be extremely difficult to get 3 heavenly sovereigns to lock onto the location of the snow mountain for him. Not to mention dealing with him, the Jade Su battle god, was a small matter. You will know very soon. Lin Yu smiled and didn't stop walking. Brother Lin, be careful. Little Master immediately followed, afraid that Dishur would make a move. However, until Lin Yu passed by Dishur still didn't move. Little Master was surprised. Logically speaking, this battle god Yu Su was the guardian of the snow mountain. Why didn't she stop them? Lin Yu and Little Master Yu arrived at the peak of the snow mountain. There was only a chessboard there. The chessboard seemed to be embedded on the peak of the snow mountain. But the strange thing was that no matter how strong the storm was outside, there wasn't a single snowflake around the chessboard. It was as if there was an invisible barrier sealing the chessboard. Master likes to play chess. Dishur's voice rang out. So it turned out that after Lin Yu and Little Master came up, he also followed. This chessboard is called The World is Like Chess. Inside are black and white chess pieces refined from the bloodline of a Taoist master. Lin Yu casually said. Dishur's eyes widened. Brother Lin, you even know about this? I've heard of it before. It's just that I felt that the method of creating this chessboard was too cruel, so I couldn't help but remember it. Lin Yu shrugged and smiled. If there's a chance, I would like to play a game of chess with Yu Su. Master's chess skills are so strong that he's #1 in the world. Moreover, when he plays chess, people will definitely die. Dishur warned, afraid that Lin Yu would do something that would bring about his own death. But Lin Yu smiled faintly. It's fine. He might not be able to play better than me. These words carried an emperor's sincerity that didn't belong to a teenager. It was as if he wasn't exaggerating at all. Dishur was stunned. Lin Yu didn't explain further. He looked at Little Master Yu and said, Saber Monarch should be nearby. The Heaven Saber can recognize its master. With the Heaven Saber's saber intent, we might be able to find him. Understood. Little Master Yu's expression was agitated. Being able to reach this step, he naturally wouldn't give up. The Heaven Saber waved. The white snow in the surroundings seemed to be swept by the sharp saber intent, becoming even more violent. Under the white snow, the 3 of them were almost swallowed up. Little Master Yu slowly closed his eyes. On his arm, a tyrannical and profound saber intent slowly flowed into the Heaven Saber. He didn't make any unnecessary movements. But behind Little Master Yu, several illusory afterimages of the Heaven Saber art flashed. Chapter 651. These phantoms appeared in all directions while performing the Heavenly Saber technique. Countless saber intents fell from the peak of the snowy mountain. The saber intents covered the entire snowy mountain. They seemed to be searching for something. 10 minutes passed. Little Master opened his eyes abruptly. Below, he widened his eyes and performed the 7th move of the Heavenly Saber. Ancestor, I'm here to save you, Little Master shouted angrily. The saber intents that covered the entire snowy mountain gathered and slashed down at the 3 of them. Little Master slashed down with the most powerful move in his life with a broadsword intent. Dishur furrowed his brows. This brat actually caused such a huge commotion the moment he made his move. If he did so, the Jadefall battle god, would be unable to hold back his face. While Dishur was thinking, he saw countless snowflakes falling from the snowy mountain. Rumble. The snowy mountain shook. The 3 of them looked down and saw an avalanche on the mountain that was covered with a thick layer of snow. Kid, can't you be more gentle? Dishur said angrily. After all, this was his territory. Ancestor, he must be below, Little Master said firmly. Sure enough, the next moment his eyes lit up. After the avalanche, the original snow mountain revealed a pitch-black mountain. However, the mountain wasn't the color of stone. Instead, it looked like a dark metal. Not enough. Slash again. Lin Yu said lightly. Dishur wanted to stop him. However, since Lin Yu had given the order, he couldn't say anything. He only warned the last slash. He looked at the black metal at the foot of the snowy mountain. This wasn't a mountain. Little Master moved quickly and slashed the 2nd time. The second slash landed on the snowy mountain. However, the sound wasn't the same as the first slash. It felt like the blade was slashing on thick soil. This time, the sound of metal hitting metal could be heard from the heavenly saber. The huge tremor attracted the attention of many sects in the Jade Silk Tao world. There's nothing? Strange. Where did the loud sound come from? They heard several sounds in succession. However, when they looked over, there was nothing. In the glazed moon treading in, Lu Yanqing looked anxiously in the direction of the voice. Was it caused by Master? She swallowed her saliva and was extremely nervous. It seemed that there wasn't much time left before the Taoist Master meeting ended. Tang Xian and Han Wanqing also returned to the glazed moon treading tower. However, the two women didn't find Lin Yu this time. They could only guard the surroundings of the heaven-reflecting mirror and wait for Lin Yu to return. On the snow mountain, Little Master chopped down the second time. The layer of snow covering the pitch-black mountain had completely disappeared. What was revealed beneath their feet was indeed not an ordinary mountain. This is the clock. Little Master widened her eyes. It was no wonder that when he swung his saber earlier, he only felt that he was chopping something extremely sturdy and definitely not an ordinary mountain. If it had been an ordinary snow mountain, it would have been split into two by his first strike. What appeared beneath their feet was a pitch-black copper bell that was tens of thousands of feet tall. Not only little Buddha, even Di Shi revealed a look of astonishment. It seems that even you don't know? Little Master smiled faintly, and there was a hint of mockery in his tone. Master hid a lot of things from me. The three of them stepped into the air and landed at the foot of the snow mountain. They looked at the incomparably huge copper bell from top to bottom. Little Master pressed his hand on it. Soon he opened his eyes. It's inside. Ancestor must be inside. The connection between Dao Feng and Dao Feng can't be wrong. Moreover, Little Master is the descendant of Dao Jungui Rilai. Lin Yu nodded and touched his chin. According to the ancient records, this should be Dao Master Yusu's Emperor artifact, Demon Suppressing Bell. However, this Emperor artifact hasn't been used for tens of thousands of years. It's normal that you don't know. Although Lin Yu hadn't seen the Demon Suppressing Bell himself, he could still make a simple deduction from the records of Dao Master Yusu and the real thing in front of him. If this Emperor artifact can't be opened, how can we save Ancestor? Little Master's expression was solemn as he took a few steps back again. Seeing this, Lin Yu and Di Shi could only dodge for the time being. Heaven Blade was used again. After dozens of slashes, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. The others in the Jade Su Dao world also heard the bell ringing at this moment. Bell ringing. Could it be? Dao Master's Demon Suppressing Bell. Only Dao Master's Demon Suppressing Bell has such a powerful sound. Shouldn't Dao Master be in the Dao Master Association at this time? Beside the Demon Suppressing Bell, Little Master was panting. He had slashed dozens of times. Moreover, he had used his full strength in every slash. However, even with such a huge consumption and the sharpness of Heaven Blade, the huge demon-suppressing bell didn't have any reaction at all. At the center of the Sky Desert universe, on a small floating continent, the 9 Tao Lords sat on 9 stone chairs, and they were distributed in 9 different directions. What stood behind them corresponded to their own Tao realms. The Despair Abyss is fluctuating frequently today. I guess the one Beast War Emperor can't hold it in anymore and wants to come out. A middle-aged man sitting on one of the stone chairs spoke slowly. His aura was deep, and his brows were domineering and sharp. The clothes on his body flickered with a reddish-gold light. A palm-sized golden firebird was sleeping quietly on the man's shoulder. It seemed like a harmless firebird, but all of the Tao Lords present were afraid of it. To be more precise, they were afraid of the golden crow fire that the firebird erupted with. After the middle-aged man spoke, the Ghost Emperor also nodded. Back then, Azure Abyss Tao Master led the human race to seal the one Beast War Emperor in the Despair Abyss. That group of bastards didn't dare to appear for 10,000 years. Even if there are movements now, It's just a small matter like the Fong Yi-Dao world back then. After the Ghost Emperor said that, a hunchbacked old woman opposite him laughed disdainfully. I heard that Lin Yu came from the Fong Yi-Dao world, but Azure Abyss Dao Master issued a warrant for his arrest in the Dao world. I wonder if he's been caught? You. The Ghost Emperor's face twitched. If Dao Master Song Ling hadn't obstructed us, Lin, you would have become a skeleton under my feet. What a joke. You barged into the Song Ling Dao world. If I didn't care about you, what would my dignity be? Shut up. Azure Abyss Dao Master said coldly. The two of them had no choice but to stop arguing. Lin Yu is just a small fry. If I could destroy the Fong E8 Thearchs back then, I can naturally destroy him too. The most important thing now is to gather the strength of the human race and prevent the Despair Abyss from making a comeback. I think everyone knows the strength of the Wan Beast War Emperor. Azure Abyss Dao Master said slowly. As he spoke, he turned to look at one of the black-robed old men. Senior Liu, what countermeasures do you have in mind? Liu Yoqi chuckled as an undetectable glint flashed across his eyes. I'm old and my brain isn't working well. I'd like to hear what Azure Abyss Dao Master has to say. Chapter 652. What I mean is that we should gather all the strength of the human race and attack the abyss of despair with the 9 worlds of the Sky Desert. The Azure Sky Dao Lord didn't bother with pleasantries and started giving orders. The 10,000 Beast War Emperor killed tens of millions of our human race back then. I'm sure none of you have any objections, right? The Azure Sky Dao Lord said as she looked at the 8 Dao Lords. Ghost Emperor Song Yuan immediately nodded and said with a smile, the Azure Sky Dao Lord is right. That Song Yuan Dao world is the first to agree. That Song Yuan Dao world is indeed far-sighted. The Azure Sky Dao Lord smiled. Ghost Emperor Song Yuan smiled at the other Dao Lords. Attacking the abyss of despair is a matter of shared glory for the human race. I'm sure none of you will refuse, right? He glanced at the front. Song Ling, Qianghua, Tian Yin, Xindu, Yu Su, Wu Jiang, and 9 other fell silent. Obviously, they had heard some stories about Ghost Emperor Song Yuan's past. Even though these Dao Lords were on equal footing with Song Yuan, they still couldn't accept the fact that Song Yuan had betrayed the Fong Yi-Dao world in exchange for his current status. Haha, since no one objects, we'll start attacking the abyss of despair within a month. The atmosphere was awkward. Ghost Emperor Song Yuan's face twitched as he cursed these people in his heart. The Azure Sky Dao Lord had no choice but to mediate the situation. We can attack, but who will lead the 9 worlds? That's a problem, Dao Lord Song Ling said. The others smiled when they heard that. Their eyes shone with an undetectable light. Even though they tried their best to hide it, everyone had their own ulterior motives. How could they not understand each other's thoughts? For the sake of the human race's shared glory, we should nominate the most virtuous person. I think that Senior Liu, the Sky Spill Dao Lord, is the best candidate. A woman in a luxurious purple robe spoke. She looked like she was in her 40s or 50s. She had taken good care of herself, but she was experienced and didn't look as young as she looked. The woman emitted 4 great emperor auras. She was the Dao Lord of the Qianghua Dao world. I also think that the Sky Spill Dao Lord is qualified to lead. In another direction, a well-built man spoke. This person looked to be at the age of a mortal. As he spoke, he cupped his fists and smiled at Liu Yoqi. It was thanks to Senior Liu's guidance that this seat was able to achieve what I have today. This time, the matter between the human race and the myriad Beast War Emperor will depend on Senior Liu's leadership. Shendu Daoist Master, you're being too polite. I'm used to being lazy. I'm afraid I'm not up to the task. Liu Yoqi chuckled and shook his head. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. In the battle between the human race and the myriad Beast War Emperor, it wasn't just the human race that died, but also tens of millions of monster beasts. The tragedy of the battle at that time was still vivid in his mind, even after 10,000 years. The Azure Sky Dao Lord was full of ambition. He had attacked the abyss of despair, which had been sealed for many years. His goal was to show off his strength. On top of that, if he could subdue the monstrous beasts and take over the territory of the Abyss of Despair, Jadefall was capable of starting another war. Senior Liu doesn't seem willing to lead us. Sect Master Tsang Ling understood the situation and asked helplessly. This old man's bones are about to fall apart. How can I start another war? No. Liu Yoqi smiled. Obviously, he had already refused. He couldn't stop the Azure Sky Tao Lord, who was at the peak of his power, but at least he could choose not to be the one leading the charge. Senior, you are an expert of my master's generation. It would be best if you could lead us, the Azure Sky Tao Lord said. It's a pity. Sigh. Since that's the case, we'll have to choose someone else. These two sentences had already caused Qianghua, Xiandu, and Tsang Ling to be speechless. If Liu Yoqi was willing to take the initiative, no one would dare to object. However, Liu Yoqi was hesitant, so the Azure Sky Tao Lord became the best candidate. Only the Azure Sky Tao Lord and the Sky Spill Tao Lord have reached the 8 paths balanced Great Emperor realm. In my opinion, since Senior Liu is unwilling to lead us, the Azure Sky Tao Lord is more than qualified to lead us. A man with a huge saber on his back spoke. If little Buddha was here, he would definitely regard him as his greatest enemy. After all, he was the one who had schemed and defeated Dao Jun. He was the current Tao Lord of the infinite Tao world. Tao Lord Wu Jiang is right. I agree. Yusu nodded. Then let the Azure Sky Tao Lord lead us. Song Yuan chimed in as well. I agree. A black-robed man in the corner hadn't spoken at all. However, when he spoke, the 6 people outside Liu Yoqi and the Azure Sky Tao Lord felt their hearts tighten. Since the 9 Nether Tao Lord has said so, I suppose no one will object, right? Yusu smiled faintly. Among the 9 Tao Lords present, Azure Sky and Sky Spill were the strongest. Beneath him was the 9th Hell Tao Lord who was at the Imperial Emperor realm and possessed 7 balanced Taos. Not only was his cultivation sufficiently formidable, he was decisive and bloodthirsty by nature, so even if it was the other Tao Lords, they would always have a fearful feeling of danger when they saw him. Below 9 Nether, Yusu and Wu Jiang were the strongest. They had reached the 5 paths balanced Great Emperor realm. Wu Jiang's saber techniques were rumored to have surpassed Gui Rulai's attainments in the past. As for Yusu, she was like a chess piece in one hand and the demon suppressing bell in the other. She hadn't fought for many years, and no one knew how strong she was now. Below them were Tsang Ling, Qianghua, and Xiandu, who were also 4 paths balanced Great Emperors. The Ghost Emperor followed closely behind. He was the weakest among the 3 paths balanced Great Emperors. What a pity. If the Zither Emperor was still here, he would be the best candidate. Tsang Ling, who looked like a hunchbacked old woman, couldn't help but say this when she saw that the Azure Sky Tao Lord had the situation completely under her control. When she said this, she wasn't looking at anyone else but the Tsang Yuan Ghost Emperor. Tsang Ling, don't waste your time talking about someone who's already dead. The Tsang Yuan Ghost Emperor's face twitched, and his gaze was extremely cold. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't defeat Tsang Ling, he would have fought her to the death. The Zither Emperor was arrogant and relied on his own talent. Back then, he always underestimated us. You have to know that the river flows east for 30 years, and the river flows west for 30 years. He was too arrogant and died too early. The Azure Sky Tao Lord laughed coldly. After hearing this, everyone who remembered the Zither Emperors might felt a little unhappy. This old man also feels that it's a pity for the Zither Emperor. If he had been more ruthless, it wouldn't have been as simple as suffocating everyone back then. Liu Yoqi chuckled. Although there was a smile on his face, his words were sharper than the blade of a knife. In an instant, the Azure Sky Tao Lord, 9 Nether Tao Lord, Jade Su Tao Lord, and the others all thought of the insufferably talented Great Emperor from 10,000 years ago. Chapter 653. Fear that hadn't appeared in their eyes for a long time appeared. They were afraid of how stunning the Zither Emperor had been. He was the most powerful emperor in the Sky Desert, and how he had suppressed them for thousands of years. That era was known as the Era of Emperors. The so-called Era of Emperors did not refer to Azure Heaven or Heaven Rise. It referred to the Zither Emperor of Feng Yidao world and the other 8 great emperors. Unfortunately, the Zither Emperor had failed and was severely injured. Coupled with Song Yuan's instigation, the Demon Emperor and the other great emperors fought each other. The Feng Yidao world had been torn apart, giving the Azure Heaven Dao world, Nine Nether Dao world, and Jade Silk Dao world a chance to attack. The Feng Yidao world is ignorant and is now just a forgotten sand in the long river of history. Why do you have to reminisce about the past? Heaven Rise Dao Master. Azure Heaven Dao Master smiled faintly with disdain in his eyes. Since ancient times, the winner takes all. The Feng Yidao world is destined to be the loser. Other than Song Yuan Dao Master, the others have sealed themselves for thousands of years. What's left now is just a group of barren people. They can't be compared to the orthodox 9 realms. I don't think so. The Feng Yidao world will return sooner or later and take back the glory that belongs to them. Lu Yoqi chuckled. Heaven Rise Dao Master, let's not talk about the past. Wu Jiang Dao Master snorted. I still have to go back and deal with the murderous Heart Palace. If there's nothing else, we'll be leaving today. He cupped his fists at Azure Heaven Dao Master. Azure Heaven Dao Master, just let me know when we attack the Abyss of Despair. That's good. Dao Master Wu Jiang, please. Ignoring Lu Yoqi, Azure Heaven Dao Master faced Dao Master Wu Jiang. The other Dao Masters were also about to leave. Suddenly, Jade Silk, who had stood up, sensed that something was wrong. Devil Suppressing Bell. Who broke my Devil Suppressing Bell? His eyes widened. Without even bidding farewell to the other Dao Masters, he teleported back to the Jade Silk Dao world. Looks like there's a good show to watch. Ghost Emperor Song Yuan laughed. Dao Master Tsong Ling narrowed her eyes. She remembered that Lin Yu had secretly run to the Jade Silk Dao world and had yet to return. Could it be that brat? Other than Lin Yu, Tsong Ling could not think of anyone else who could make a Dao Lord so flustered. When she thought of this, she casually bade farewell and headed to the Jade Silk Dao world. Something strange. How could the Ghost Emperor, who had always seen Dao Master Tsong Ling as a thorn in his side, not see some clues? Could it be that he wanted to watch the show? No, it's the aura of Emperor Wheel. He had sensed that one of the 9 great Emperor artifacts, the Emperor Wheel, had been used in the Jade Silk Dao world. The Ghost Emperor suddenly stood up and rushed towards the Jade Silk Dao world. Devil Suppressing Bell. Gui Rilai. Dao Master Wu Zhang's heart tightened. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he followed the 3 Dao Masters to the Jade Silk Dao world. Everyone, it looks like there's going to be a good show. Bai Luo, Xianghua, Xuandu, and the others could tell that something was wrong. That child, Lu Yoqi stroked his beard. His face was calm, but he was starting to worry about Lin Yu. It was no joke to draw the attention of the 8 Dao Lords. Jade Silk Dao world. A huge hole with a diameter of 5 feet was blasted out of the Devil Suppressing Bell. The broken copper pieces floated in the starry sky. Dishur and Little Master looked at the long spear in Lin Yu's hand in a daze. The Emperor's sword was the tip of the spear. The Extinguishing Universe Staff was the body of the spear. The Emperor Fire burned on the tip of the spear. The Emperor Heart was connected to the tip of the spear and the Extinguishing Universe Staff. There was also the Emperor Cauldron and Emperor Wheel. Lin Yu was holding the strongest Emperor Spear in his hand. For safety's sake, it was better to put on the Emperor Armor. Lin Yu thought to himself as he put on the Emperor Armor. Brother Lin, where did you get this divine weapon? Little Master asked in a daze. The Devil Suppressing Bell was naturally not broken by his Heaven Blade. On the contrary, Little Master had used his full strength to attack it dozens of times, but the Devil Suppressing Bell did not react at all. On the contrary, Lin Yu's Emperor Spear directly caused the Devil Suppressing Bell and Heaven Blade to tremble. Little Master also recognized that the tip of the Emperor Spear was the Emperor's sword that Lin Yu had revealed before. Dishur and Little Master thought that they were powerful enough with Emperor swords. But who would have thought that Lin Yu had a total of 9 Emperor swords in his hand? This spear can actually break the devil-suppressing bell with a casual wave. Brother Lin, I have some understanding of the spear Dao. Can you let me have a look? Disher could not help but ask. Little Master was also curious. Brother Lin, you haven't answered me. Where did you get this divine weapon? There's nothing to look at. I bought it on the street. Lin Yu answered casually, as if he was afraid that Little Master and Disher would covet his treasures. He immediately kept it in his storage ring. This action made Disher and Little Master retract their gazes at the same time. That spear was indeed too attractive. Swallowing their saliva, the two felt that their expressions were too greedy and immediately coughed dryly. There's not much time left. Lin Yu did not pay much attention to them and slowly walked into the devil-suppressing bell. Little Master was worried about Lord Sha Exine, so he naturally followed quickly. Disher, on the other hand, felt his eyelids twitching rapidly in the outside world. Brother Lin, Master seems to be returning soon. Lin Yu, who had already walked into the devil-suppressing bell, did not stop. Instead, he smiled and said, It's good that he's here. The knot in your heart still needs to be untied by him. After saying that, he disappeared into the darkness. Disher was stunned on the spot, breathing heavily. Brother Lin's mental strength is actually so much stronger than mine. He knew that the shattering of the devil-suppressing bell would definitely attract Dao Master Yusu, but Lin Yu did not seem to be afraid at all. Inside the pitch-black devil-suppressing bell, this place was like an ancient pagoda, without any light at the edges. Below the ancient pagoda, the two heard the sound of chains. Yusu, is my time up? This voice was as deep as thunder, and there wasn't the slightest hint of weakness in it. Little Master looked down in the direction of the voice. There, countless chains extended from the edges of the devil-suppressing bell, gathering at the center of the space inside. And at the center, there was an iron ball. Rather than an iron ball, it was more like a cocoon-like thing formed by the chains. Ancestor, Little Master's breathing quickened. Even in his dreams, he did not expect that he would actually meet Lord Sha Exine so soon. He quickly descended, stepping on the air in front of the cocoon-like thing. You are not Yusu. That deep voice sounded again. Little Master's gaze met his. The one who appeared in front of him was a middle-aged man. It was impossible to tell the man's real age. He looked like a mortal in his 40s or 50s. However, his hair was extremely messy, and his clothes were wrapped in chains. His appearance could not be seen clearly, but there were rags falling out. Obviously, his clothes were also very tattered. Little Master immediately knelt before the middle-aged man and shouted, Xiao Ming Run, the 31st successor of Sha Exine Palace, greets ancestor. Chapter 654. He could not be mistaken. Although this person looked disheveled and looked haggard, he had seen Dao Jun's statue and portrait since he was young in Killing Heart Palace. How could he not recognize him? The person in front of him was Killing Heart Buddha, Dao Jun Gue Rulai, 31 generations of the main bloodline's children. In just 100 years, Killing Heart Palace has changed 10 generations of successors. Dao Jun said slowly with a confused look in his eyes. 100 years. Xiao Mingren's heart tightened. He stood up and cupped his fists. Ancestor, you have been missing for 3,727 years. 3,727 years. Isn't it 100 years? Dao Jun's eyes became even more confused. He looked at the pitch-black surroundings. I made a bet with Yusu. If I lost, I would accompany her for 100 years. Only 100 years. In the sky, Lin Yu landed slowly and smiled faintly. The demon-suppressing bell contains a trace of time, Dao intent. In addition, it's pitch black here. There are no changes in the sun or moon, so there are no changes in time. Senior, you have indeed been here for more than 3,000 years. As for the reason, I believe you have already guessed it. Yusu, did he lie to me? Senior, you will know whether he lied to you or not when Yusu comes later. Lin Yu spread his hands and cupped his fists at Dao Jun, Sword Emperor's successor. Lin Yu, Greet Senior Dao Jun, the Sword Emperor's successor, my old friend, has also fallen a long time ago. Dao Jun's eyes were filled with reminiscence. Back then, he and the Sword Emperor had been enemies and friends. They had fought over the saber and the sword and appreciated each other's talents. Unfortunately, the Sword Emperor had fallen, and he had lost to some tricks of the infinite Dao Master. He had also been deceived by Yu Su for 3,000 years. If we count the days you have been imprisoned here, it should be more than 10,000 years. Lin Yu smiled slowly. The infinite Dao world has changed owners for 3,000 years. Today, Killing Heart Palace has suffered a great calamity and is on the verge of collapse. Senior Dao Jun, please come out of seclusion and preside over the situation. Is what the two of you said true? Dao Jun's gaze suddenly became extremely sharp. He looked at the world outside, the demon suppressing bell. The brilliance of the jade silk Dao world's starry sky wasn't considered intense. However, it was somewhat dazzling to the Saber Monarch. Lin Yu and Little Master looked at each other. Of course, they knew what each other meant. The next moment, Little Buddha held the heavenly saber while Lin Yu held the Emperor's sword. The sky saber and the imperial sword appeared before the Saber Monarch at the same time. There was no need to say anything else. When Dao Jun saw these two Emperor artifacts in front of Lin Yu and Yang Kai, he was already convinced. The heavenly saber is upright and will not fall into the hands of villains. The Emperor's sword is arrogant and will not submit to ordinary cultivators. Dao Jun laughed heartily as his gaze landed on the Emperor's sword. My old friend once said that if a person with evil intentions uses the Emperor's sword, it will only draw out the bloodthirsty thing in the sword hilt. Only a person with excellent swordsmanship and character can use the Emperor's sword without being injured. The wooden sword hilt exploded with a strong azure light. However, there were no bloodthirsty vines like when Xiao Wushuang and Li Chun used their swords back then. Senior, you flatter me. Lin Yu smiled calmly. Only the top Dao Feng would understand what the heavenly saber and Emperor's sword meant. A person with two Emperor artifacts would not lie to him. Ancestor, I'll get you out now. Little Buddha held the heavenly saber in his hand and used the heavenly saber technique. A sharp saber intent formed and slashed down. Clang! The saber intent hit the iron chains and made a series of golden and jade sounds. Little Buddha's face turned grave because the material of these iron chains was the same as the exterior of the demon suppression bell. It was indestructible. Brother Lin. Little Buddha bowed to Lin Yu and asked, "Please help me one last time, Lin Yu." However, Lin Yu shook his head. Little Buddha's heart sank. I understand. Brother Lin, I'm sorry to trouble you. Killing Heart Palace already owes you a great favor by bringing me to my ancestor. No, I don't need to do anything. Lin Yu smiled faintly and turned to look at Dao Jun, Gue Relai. Senior, it's time to release the anger that has been suppressed for 3,000 years. Only then did Little Buddha realize that Dao Jun had closed his eyes just now. At this moment, a series of thunderous vibrations came from the iron cocoon. Boom, boom. Streams of incomparably powerful Yao Qi poured into the demon-suppressing bell through the gap. In an instant, a terrifying Yao Qi storm formed inside the ancient pagoda, and in the center of the storm was Dao Jun, Gue Relai. You Su, how dare you lie to this old man? Dao Jun's black hair fluttered in the wind as he roared. His body was swept up by the Yao Qi storm. The iron chains wrapped around him also made a series of metallic sounds. In the next moment, a wave of Yao Qi came out from Gue Relai's body. The second wave, the third wave. Lin Yu and Little Buddha quickly retreated. Disher also came in. The three of them saw invisible waves erupting from the inside of the demon suppression bell. The 108 iron chains that bound Gue Relai's body actually started to break under the continuous vibrations of the formless ripples. Ancestor can execute such a powerful saber will without using a weapon? Little Buddha's eyes widened. He could see that all the storms in this space were the sharpest saber will in the world. The 108 chains clanged within this monstrous storm of saber intent. No matter how strong the wind was, the three of them couldn't feel any sense of danger within 3 feet of them. Dao Jun's control of saber had reached an extremely terrifying level. 1 chain, 10 chains, 100 chains. In an instant, the iron chains on the inner walls of the demon suppression bell kept falling off and disintegrating. In front of the 3 of them, a black-haired, middle-aged man slowly walked through the air amidst the broken chains. "Yusu, this old man wants your life." Dao Jun walked out of the demon suppression bell. Gue Rulai reappeared in the sky desert. Outside the Yusu Dao world, a blurry figure arrived at the Yusu Dao world at a terrifying speed. In the next moment, the figure was already on top of the demon suppression bell. "Who dares to destroy my demon suppression bell?" Looking at the demon suppression bell with a huge hole, Dao Master Yusu's heart bled as he roared furiously. At this moment, there were 3 figures on the demon suppression bell. Dao Jun and Lin Yu were at the front. Little Buddha was at the back, but there was no trace of Di Shi. "Ghost! Ru, come!" Yusu frowned. He suppressed the panic in his heart and appeared on the demon suppression bell. The world was like 2 sides of a chess game. The 4 of them looked at each other. Lin Yu, Little Buddha. Dao Master Yu soon narrowed his eyes and immediately understood what was going on. This old man said that you must have a motive for coming to the Su Dao world. The first-person Taoist Master Jade Su asked was actually Lin Yu. He felt that something was wrong when this kid brought the 10 supreme martial artists into the Yusu Dao world. However, at that time, Dao Master Yusu didn't really care about Lin Yu. He just casually asked Di Shi to find and capture him. But how could he have imagined that this loach would create a wave and rescue Gue Rulai? Chapter 655. Dao Master Jade Su. "Do you not want to see me? Or do you not want to see Senior Dao Jun?" Lin Yu shrugged and smiled. On the other hand, Dao Lord Jade Silk's gaze had descended onto Gue Rulai. "Dao Jun, you lost in chess. Why don't you admit it? What am I supposed to do now that you've walked out on your own?" Dao Master Jade Su could see Dao Jun's anger. If they were to go all out, he knew that he was no match for Dao Jun. He thought that after being locked up for 3,000 years, the strongest Dao Jun in the Sky Desert universe would become extremely weak. However, why did he feel that Dao Jun had become even stronger? What an excuse. "Jade Su, I only lost to you for 100 years. Why did you lock me up for 3,000 years?" Dao Jun did not have Heaven's blade in his hand. However, when he spoke, he seemed to be the sharpest blade. 100 years? When did you say 100 years? Well, I made a bet with you. I clearly said 10,000 years. Dao Master Jade Su was astonished. Naturally, he knew that he could not fight them head-on. But when it came to being shameless, if he could trick Dao Jun the first time, he could trick him a second time. Dao Jun was furious. He laughed and said, "Good, Dao Master Jade Su. Fine, if you don't admit it, I'll fight you. After the fight, you can tell me if you admit it or not." After saying that, Dao Jun took a step forward. In an instant, the snowstorm on the demon suppression bell increased by several times. "Dao Jun, Gue Rulai, you don't admit your loss, and now you want to use your brute strength to humiliate me?" Taoist Master Jade Silk flew into a rage, and an aggrieved expression appeared on his aged face. "This old man was a refined scholar when I was young. How could I possibly fight with a brute like you?" Dao Jun was stunned by his words. "Then what do I have to do to make you fight? I said that I don't like to play with weapons. Gue Rulai, since you lost to me in chess, you should win against me in chess if you're a man." Chess. Dao Jun narrowed his eyes. He was not a fool. He was locked up for 3,000 years because of a game of chess. If he lost again, where would his face go? What? If you lose on the chessboard, you should win it back on the chessboard. The dignified Saber Sovereign, the strongest expert of the infinite Dao world, is actually such a coward. What a joke. Yusu said coldly. She wanted to kill him and destroy his heart. He was sure that he couldn't beat Gue Rulai in a fight. But when it came to chess, no one in the Sky Desert universe was his match. "Ancestor, let's not waste words with him. Let's leave first. Little Buddha was afraid that Saber Monarch would fall into Taoist Master Jade Silk's trap again, so he immediately reminded Saber Monarch, "If the people of the Murderous Heart Palace are afraid, then get out of my Jade Silk world." Gue Rely, since you have come out of seclusion and do not dare to take revenge, then let's forget about the chess game that year. Taoist Master Jade Silk had a righteous look on her face. "I will let bygones be bygones. Please return. Old man, I must fight you today." The more Dao Jun thought about it, the angrier he got. However, he was unable to gain any advantage over Taoist Master Yusu verbally. However, Gue Rely laughed sinisterly. "If Saber Sovereign is not afraid of the people of the Sky Desert Universe gossiping, then kill me with one strike." Unwilling to admit defeat, destroying the bell to kill. Saber Sovereign, Gue Rely, Murderous Heart Palace, Murderous Heart Palace. Taoist Master Jade Silk laughed. At that moment, Saber Sovereign, Lin Yu, and the others also sensed a few powerful and terrifying auras rapidly approaching from outside Jade Silk. The auras did not descend immediately, as though they were observing something. Saber Sovereign, Gue Rely, is still in the mortal realm? Taoist Master Wu Jiang, didn't you say that Saber Sovereign was dead before you became the new Saber Sovereign? Taoist Master Cheong Hua and Taoist Master Tsang Ling spoke one after another. Taoist Master Wu Jiang's face was extremely gloomy, but he did not speak. However, his spiritual force traversed the starry sky and landed on Gue Rely. Saber Sovereign can only be me. The Emperor Wheel's senses were right. That kid is indeed here. In another direction, Ghost Emperor Tsang Yuan also saw Lin Yu appear. Lin Yu? Saber Sovereign's incident was also caused by him. The Taoist masters all looked at the youth below in surprise. Below, little Buddha also sensed that he had been seen by others. He's here. He's here. Little Buddha's heart tightened. Ancestor, the current Saber Sovereign is here. Li Sangtian, that bastard, I'm going to settle the score with him. Gue Rely looked up and met Taoist Master Wu Jiang's eyes. You must have something to do with me being trapped for 3,000 years. Although Saber Sovereign loved sabers as much as his life and was known as the Saber Fanatic, he was no fool. 3,000 years ago, he was first ambushed by 2 Balance Realm Emperors and injured. Then, Li Sangtian came to challenge the title of Saber Sovereign. Because of this, the injured Gue Rely lost to Li Sangtian in one move. Then, Gue Rely met Taoist Master Jade Silk. In his frustration, Gue Rely agreed to the chess bet, thinking that he would only lose 100 years of freedom. But in that pitch-black devil suppression bell, which had no sense of time, he had stayed for a total of 3,000 years. Jade Silk, tell me the truth, and I won't kill you. Saber Sovereign's invisible energy blade had already appeared above Taoist Master Jade Silk's head. This blade wasn't huge, but little Buddha swallowed his saliva. He knew that this blade was the 8th Heaven Blade, Saber God's life-seeking slash. This blade technique didn't focus on destructive power, but on precision. Taoist Master Jade Silk swallowed his saliva, and the hair on his back stood up. He vaguely felt that once the energy blade above his head fell, no one in the world would be able to dodge it. Taoist Master Wu Jiang, Gue Rely, was originally from the infinite Tao world. Now that he's acting so presumptuously in the Jade Silk Tao world, shouldn't you, as the Taoist Master, do something about it? Taoist Master Jade Silk said coldly, but in reality, she was asking for help. Gue Rely, you've already embarrassed yourself 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years later, do you still want to embarrass the infinite Tao world? Taoist Master Wu Jiang immediately shouted. He had to put on an act. Firstly, it was because of his current status. Secondly, it would be even more troublesome if Jade Silk was afraid of death and revealed what had happened back then. Li Sangtian, if you can really withstand my current blade, you can come down and deal with this matter. Gue Rely didn't give Li Sangtian any face. The latter's face was as gloomy as ash, and his breathing became heavier. He had never imagined that Dao Jun, who had been imprisoned for 3,000 years, would be no different from a cripple. But now this fellow was actually much stronger than he had been 3,000 years ago. Ha ha ha! Taoist Master Jade Silk cursed in her heart when she saw Li Sangtian fall into silence. However, she could only continue to mock him. Fellow Taoists, you've all seen it. You want to use force because you're inferior to me on the chessboard. This is the Honorable Saber Sovereign, Gue Rulai. With Taoist Master Jade Silk's false accusation and the appearance of the other Taoists, Gue Rulai couldn't really kill Taoist Master Jade Silk, even if he had 1,000 years of anger. If he slashed down with his blade, the tens of thousands of years of reputation of the murderous Heart Palace would be destroyed in his hands, just like that. Beside Gue Rulai, Lin Yu only felt that this old fellow Jade Silk was quite shameless. Obviously, he wasn't on the same side as him. He couldn't help but say, why don't I play a game with you? Chapter 656. Why don't I play a game with you? His voice was calm and emotionless. However, when the crowd heard those words, they were all stunned. Idiot! Someone actually dares to play with you, Su? That old fellow's cultivation level is not very high, but even I am not his match in chess. Wu Jiang Dao Master and Heaven Flow Dao Master said one after another. In particular, Liu Yoqi's face revealed a trace of surprise. He could see that Lin Yu was full of confidence. Liu Yoqi also understood Lin Yu a little. This fellow was definitely not a reckless person. Could he really be confident? When Yu Su, who was on the demon-suppressing bell, heard Lin Yu's words, she was not only shocked but also furious. I'm a Dao Master. Who gave you the face to compete with me when you're merely in the law realm? As soon as he said that, he extended his palm toward Lin Yu. This palm was dozens of body positions away, but the moment Yu Su attacked, his palm force was already close to Lin Yu's face. Brother Lin, little Buddha's heaven saber, had already attacked. However, at the same time, an even stronger and faster saber intent had already swept across and directly severed the palm force. Lin Yu is my benefactor, and I am the Sword Emperor's successor. Today, no one can hurt him, Gue Rulai said coldly. He did not move at all. He merely released his saber chi, which was extremely simple for him, but he had already scattered down Master Yu Su's move. How could Yu Su take this lying down when he saw that Lin Yu was in skate? He immediately rolled his eyes and shouted at the Ghost Emperor in the sky. Vast Abyss Dao Master, I heard that you once issued a Dao World arrest warrant for Lin Yu. Why don't you dare make a move when he appears before you today? Upon hearing that, the Vast Abyss Dao Master could not hold back his anger. The Emperor treasure he had been waiting for 10,000 years had been snatched away by Lin Yu, forcing him to issue a wanted order in the Dao World. Everyone in the vast desert universe had known about this. Now that Lin Yu was alive and kicking in front of him, if he didn't dare to capture him now, he wouldn't be able to show his face in front of this group of Dao Masters in the future. Gue Rulai, this old man has a personal grudge with Lin Yu. I hope that you will not interfere in this matter. Song Yuan descended and appeared on the demon-suppressing bell. The battle prowess of the great Emperor realm of equalization erupted, and 3 Dao wills of equalization descended, directly attacking Lin Yu. I've already said that no one can touch little friend Lin Yu today. Gue Rulai snorted coldly as his saber intent tore through the air once again. The saber intent above the devil-suppressing bell split into pieces. The chaotic yet omnipresent saber intent directly broke through Ghost Emperor Song Yuan's 3 Dao intents of equalization. The remaining power of the saber intent had yet to dissipate, and it struck Ghost Emperor Song Yuan at the same time. Bang, bang, bang. The Ghost Emperor spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked at Gue Rulai in shock. He couldn't even block a single move from him. This invincible Dao phone, who was equally as famous as the Sword Emperor 10,000 years ago, had become even stronger after being imprisoned for 3,000 years. Even the current limitless Tao Lord, Li Sangtian, was filled with fear towards Gui Rulai. Gui Rulai, so what if you're strong? With the two of us Tao Lords attacking together, we're not afraid that we won't be able to take down Lin Yu. Seeing Ghost Emperor Song Yuan attack, how could Yu Su let go of this momentum? She immediately attacked Gui Rulai and shouted at the same time, Tao Master Song Yuan, this old man will lure Gui Rulai over. Once you have the chance, capture that Lin Yu. Thank you, Tao Master Yu Su. Song Yuan was overjoyed when he saw that Yu Su and Gui Rulai were already fighting. He saw an opportunity and was about to attack Lin Yu when a woman's voice sounded. Song Yuan, your opponent is me. At the same time, a hunchbacked old woman landed on the demon suppressing bell. Old lady Tsong Ling, must you protect Lin Yu? This old lady wants to protect Lin Yu today. So what? Tao Master Tsong Ling snorted coldly. For balanced thearchs erupted and faced Ghost Emperor Song Yuan. On the other hand, seeing that Song Yuan was unable to attack Lin Yu, Yu Su originally wanted to use Lin Yu's misfortune to distract Gui Rulai. Now this idea was clearly for naught. Gui Rulai, the victory or defeat between you and me on the chessboard can only be decided on the chessboard. Yu Su took a few steps back as his chi and blood surged. If he received a few more slashes, he thought that his old life would probably end here. Little brother Lin Yu has already said that he will play with you. Gui Rulai retracted his battle intent and looked at Lin Yu gently. Damn it, how can a Law Realm cultivator be qualified to play chess with me? Yu Su's face was filled with displeasure. Her goal was to make Gui Rulai retreat in the face of difficulties. Gui Rulai had clearly been tricked by her for thousands of years, but he could only leave in defeat. He did not want to play chess with an ignorant junior here. Little brother Lin Yu represents me. Is he qualified? Gui Rulai spoke again. When he said that, not only was Yu Su stunned, but the other Tao masters were also stunned. Has Buddha Sha Xian gone mad after being locked up for so long? To play chess with Tao Master Yu Su, and to send a junior in his teens. I think Gui Rulai will embarrass himself again today. He will definitely embarrass himself. I wonder if Wu Jiang Tao Master will be embarrassed as well. After all, Gui Rulai is from the Wu Jiang Tao world. Li Songtian's face was gloomy as he listened to the ridicule of the other Tao masters. He was determined to kill Lin Yu and Gui Rulai. If Gui Rulai had been confident back then, he would have died more than 3,000 years ago. As for this Lin Yu, he was a busybody who released the Gui Rulai. Although Li Sangtian did not know what method Lin Yu used to open the demon-suppressing bell to save the Gui Rulai, Li Sangtian did not know. However, since this kid dared to go against him, he had to die. Gui Rulai, are you sure? If this kid loses, I want you to imprison the demon suppression bell for another 10,000 years. Yu Su said angrily. What if you lose? Gui Rulai could not help but laugh. I've already been locked up for 3,000 years. So what if I am imprisoned for another 10,000 years? However, if you lose, I want you to kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistake. As the demon suppression bell was moving at high speed, only a few Tao masters could hear their conversation. However, these few people represented the human tribe forces in the Sky Desert universe. It is impossible for me to lose. Gui Rulai, I promise you. Yu Su snorted coldly as she stared at Lin Yu. However, the latter was already sitting on the other side of the chessboard. Stop talking nonsense. Sit down. Lin Yu picked up a black piece and cleared the chess pieces on the chessboard. Yu Su's heart tightened when she saw how confident he was. Regardless of whether it was calmness or bearing, this kid's chess skills should not be underestimated. I am afraid Gui Rulai has misunderstood. The chess game from back then is not over yet. After saying that, Tao Master Yu Su waved her hand, and a large number of chess pieces appeared on the chessboard. It was obvious that the white chess pieces had a great advantage on the chessboard. As for the black chess pieces, they were gradually being devoured and attacked from both sides. Chapter 657. Old Dog Yu Su. What is the meaning of this? Gui Rulai was furious. He believed in Lin Yu because he also believed in his dead friend, the Sword Emperor. Since Lin Yu was the successor of the Sword Emperor and was willing to play with Yu Su, Gue Rulai had to believe him no matter what. But now, Yu Su's shamelessness had no bottom line. As I said, the grudges on the chessboard should be settled on the chessboard. Yu Su snickered and said to Lin Yu, "Kid, this game of chess between this old man and Gue Rulai hasn't ended yet, right?" Lin Yu looked at the chessboard. The black piece that represented Gue Rulai was only left with a square inch of space at the bottom left corner. As for the other areas, they were all slaughtered by the white pieces. It was no wonder that under such a disadvantage, Gue Rulai had already given up resisting and admitted defeat, which led to the subsequent events. "What's wrong? You don't dare to continue?" Yu Su stared at Lin Yu. "Kid, over the years, there have been many geniuses in the Sky Desert universe. But even if they were talented and intelligent, they often lost because of their youthful vigor. Before they could truly grow, they died at the beginning of the martial Tao. I have seen many more geniuses than you. All of them were the strongest martial Tao geniuses among millions of people. Many of them were even more talented and thoughtful than you." Yu Su smirked, attacking the enemy's mind first. "There were also some geniuses who sought their own deaths by playing chess with me. Do you know where their bones are buried?" Gue Rulai pressed on Lin Yu's shoulder, and a gentle equalization Tao intent entered Lin Yu's body. "There's no need to agree. This old thing is extremely shameless. It's fine if we don't play. It's not too late to give up. I can pretend that you didn't say anything just now." Ignoring Gue Rulai, Yu Su looked at Lin Yu from beginning to end and said, "Those who lost to me are all buried under this snowy mountain." He waved his hand, and the snow that had been scattered by little Buddha's sky blade scattered again, revealing a large area of white bones. Too many people have lost their lives to this old man's chessboard. When Yu Su saw Lin Yu, her eyes flickered. This brat was nervous. "This old man knows that you are young and impetuous. If you kneel before this old man and admit your wrongs, we will not play this game of chess today." Yu Su spoke again. Lin Yu was destined to have no chance of winning, but Yu Su was also unwilling to let him off easily like this. Finished speaking, Yu Su had already stood up and looked down at the seated Lin Yu. "Brat, this old man doesn't want to ruin the talent of you youngsters. Kneel down and admit your wrongs, then leave." Yu Su stood with her hands behind her back, her face full of righteousness. She had long forgotten his shameless actions from before. On the other hand, the other Tao Lords seemed to be unable to continue watching. "Yu Su, this old man will definitely pay you a visit again in the future and decide life and death with you." Gue Rulai was afraid that Lin Yu's Tao heart would be destroyed by Tao Lord Yu Su. She seemed to want to let Lin Yu go, but he was actually a young genius. If he really suffered today's humiliation, then his Tao heart was destined to be destroyed, and his future achievements would be rather limited. Then, in the next moment, the sound of chess piece landing could be heard. This, Gue Rulai was stunned, and he thought to himself, "Oh no, I was careless." Little Buddha also immediately stepped forward. "This doesn't count." Boom! Suddenly, Tao Lord Yu Su's aura skyrocketed, and the white chess piece in her hand was already in play. "Since you want to die, why shouldn't this old man satisfy you?" He laughed loudly, and the white chess piece landed as well. He slaughtered a few more black chess pieces. Tao Lord Yu Su was pleasantly surprised. She originally thought that Lin Yu wouldn't continue playing chess. After all, she was playing a game of chess from 3,000 years ago. This was something that no normal person would agree to. But now, Lin Yu had actually gone crazy. "Gue Rulai, I think you should go in by yourself and isolate yourself for another 10,000 years." Tao Lord Yu Su also sat down again. Lin Yu's second move had already landed. Stubborn resistance. Die. Yu Su landed her chess piece, and the black chess pieces were slaughtered again. The entire situation was like a monstrous beast devouring a few ants. When she looked at Lin Yu again, beads of sweat actually appeared on his forehead. "Young man, not to mention that this game is already hopeless. Even if we play a new game, you might not be a match for this old man." Yu Su sneered. Even though she had the upper hand, she didn't forget to attack his mind. Tao Lord, you want me to kneel? That's an extra bet. Lin Yu's third move landed. Yu Su followed closely and chased after him again. So what? Lin Yu's fourth move landed. Tao Lord and Senior Dao Jun already have a bet. Why don't you make a bet with me too? What are we betting? Tao Lord Yu Su continued to besiege the black chess pieces. Lin Yu's fifth move landed. Let's bet my life in your Emperor artifact. The world is like a game of chess. As his voice fell, a strange light involuntarily appeared on the chessboard. The clothes of the two fluttered. On the chessboard, it was as if two armies were fighting. What a joke. How can your life be compared to my Emperor artifact? Yu Su continued to place her chess pieces. She started to feel puzzled. Why was it that after a few moves, she still couldn't kill Lin Yu's black chess pieces? That's true. What if I had this? Lin Yu smiled faintly and took out an ancient book. Sky Trampling 7 Steps? Yu Su's eyes widened. Impossible. Why is it in your hands? Dishur told me that you've only learned the 4th step. As for the rest, he hasn't told you. Lin Yu's lips curled up slightly. His 7th move landed, and the black chess pieces had already slaughtered a path of blood. A turn of events. At the side, Gue Rulai saw the subtle changes on the chessboard. Although it was just an additional path of retreat for the black chess pieces that were already destined to die from the start, it was already a great sign of a comeback. Dishur, where is he? The moment Dao Master Yu Su returned, her attention was attracted by Lin Yu and Gue Rulai. Only now did she recall. Where did Dishur go? I brought Little Buddha here. Naturally, Dishur was defeated by Little Buddha. Lin Yu smiled and placed another chess piece. There's also the 7 moves of Sky Trampling 7 Steps. Before Dishur died, he was also forced to write it down by me. Impossible. With just the 2 of you, how can you kill my disciple? Yu Su laughed loudly. Little brat, you're still too inexperienced if you want to bully this old man. Lin Yu placed his 8th move and smiled unhurriedly. 4th step, earth waves cover the sky. With the 3rd step, Qian position and Li position are exchanged. Yao Qi moves to Tian Qi, Tanzhong Huiyong. Do you need me to say more? Lin Yu raised his eyebrows as he flipped open the Sky Trampling 7 Steps with his other hand. There are too many people here. If you're not afraid that everyone will know about the Sky Trampling 7 Steps, I can share it with everyone. Shut up. Dao Master Yu Su's breathing quickened. After placing her chess piece, she gritted her teeth. Her heart tightened. Sky Trampling 7 Steps was real. Could it be that Dishur really died in Lin Yu's hands? Chapter 658. You dare to kill my disciple? Today, this old man will accept your bet. Dao Lord Yu Su is finally happy for once. Lin Yu put down the Sky Trampling 7 Steps. As he placed his piece, he smiled and said, I didn't expect Dao Lord to care so much about your disciple. I originally thought that you only kept Dishur by your side for the Sky Trampling 7 Steps. Brat, don't test me anymore. Even if this old man did it for the Sky Trampling 7 Steps, so what? Yu Su sneered. Since Dishur was dead, there was nothing to hide. Seems like the information I received wasn't fake. 20 years ago, Dao Lord pretended to know Dishur's parents for the sake of obtaining the Sky Trampling 7 Steps. Lin Yu casually placed his piece. Yu Su narrowed his eyes and sneered in his heart. This brat actually dared to play such a psychological game with him. Playing chess with him while being distracted. A mere teenager playing chess like this was simply courting death in front of him. As the white piece was placed, Yu Su smiled and said, A man's wealth is his own ruin. That idiot Di Yun Tian, this old man, and he were merely acquaintances. With just a few words, this old man managed to dig out the secret of his sacred art. If this old man didn't snatch it from him, wouldn't it be a waste of such a good fortune? Dao Lord's words are reasonable. Lin Yu's lips curled up. Unfortunately, Dao Lord didn't get what you wanted. That Sky Trampling 7 Steps, Di Yun Tian had already imprinted it in the mind of his infant son. Once it is forcefully taken out, the Sky Trampling 7 Steps will die together with the child. That's right. Yusu nodded and smiled. This old man does admire your tricks. I've raised that idiot disciple for 20 years, and he didn't even tell me the complete outline. But you brat, you actually had a way to kill him and even found out about the sky trampling 7 steps? His voice was extremely low, and he even used his divine sense to wrap it up, afraid that others would hear him. Lin Yu placed his piece. This was his 10th move, and also his first time eating a white piece. Yu Su was stunned. She frowned. But as she was thinking, Lin Yu didn't give her a chance. He suddenly smiled and said, "My method is very simple. Do you want to know?" Dalord Jade Silk's train of thought was interrupted, and she pondered for a moment before she said, "I'll see what sort of method you can come up with." Lin Yu turned his head and shouted towards the hole in the devil-suppressing bell, "Sure, come out." "What?" Taoist Master Yu Su's eyes widened as she saw a young man in his 20s. He was clad in the armor of battle god Yu Su and was slowly walking towards her from below the devil-suppressing bell. For the first time, his gaze landed on Yu Su in such a heavy and angry manner. Damn it! Taoist Master Jade Su's breathing became hurried. How could she not understand that she had fallen into a trap? Dalord, it's your turn. Lin Yu urged and yawned at the same time. Die for me. He placed his white chess piece. Lin Yu's lips curled up. He placed his chess piece as well. While Taoist Master Yu Su was pondering, he asked, "Since Shure's death is fake, why don't Dalord take a guess? Is this sky-trampling 7 steps fake as well?" Taoist Master Yu Su started to feel uneasy. He had fallen into Lin Yu's trap. He glanced at the sky-trampling 7 steps manual beside the chessboard. If this manual was real, so what if Shure discovered the truth of what had happened back then? But if this manual was fake, then he would have suffered a huge loss today. Dalord, can you place your chess piece faster? Lin Yu urged a few more times. Little Buddha and Gue Rulai also understood when they saw this. A dignified Dalord is just a young man in his teens. Why do you need to think for so long? I heard that Dalord Jadesu's chess skills are the strongest in the world. I think it's just an undeserved reputation. Gue Rulai and Little Buddha laughed. Taoist Master Yu Su forcefully suppressed the chaos in his heart and placed his chess piece. But at the next moment, Lin Yu picked up his handkerchief and slowly wiped the sweat on his forehead. It's my turn now. Lin Yu smiled faintly. The black chess piece made its move. Kill. Oh no. Taoist Master Yu Su felt that something was wrong. The 30th move, the 40th move, the white chess pieces were defeated again and again, while the black chess pieces were getting stronger and stronger. Kill, kill, kill. The world was like a game of chess. The army of black chess pieces was like a hot knife through butter. Everywhere they passed, the army of white chess pieces collapsed. Taoist Master Yu Su was sweating profusely. His hand that was holding the chess piece started to tremble for the first time. When all the Dalords saw this scene, they looked at the young man opposite Yu Su in shock. This kid was pretending to be nervous at the beginning. Yu Su thought that he had succeeded. From a moment he placed his chess piece, he had underestimated his opponent. Now that Yu Su has reacted, he realized that the young man's chess skills are not inferior to his at all. He has lost his advantage. How can he turn the tide? Even the strongest Dalord Lu Yochi and Azure Sky Dalord nodded in succession. They acknowledged Lin Yu's methods. To be able to scheme against Yu Su twice, although this kid's cultivation is not strong, his temperament is already the best among the younger generation in the Sky Desert universe. Azure Sky Dalord said. Lu Yochi shook his head and smiled. His cultivation is not simple either. As soon as he finished speaking, Taoist Master Yu Su's hand, that was suspended in the air on the chessboard, could no longer land. Instead, the white chess piece in his hand fell. However, the white chess piece did not land on the chessboard. Instead, it rolled down the chessboard and disappeared into the snow mountain. Dalord, I'll take the chessboard. Lin Yu smiled. With a wave of his hand, the world was like a game of chess and disappeared into his storage ring. Lin Yu did not even let go of the white chess piece in the snow mountain. Lin Yu, I'll kill you. Yu Su was furious. At this moment, He actually wanted to fight Lin Yu to the death. Not only did he lose the chess game, but he also lost chess ethics. How could such an action escape Gue Rulai's discerning eyes? Immediately, a sharp saber intent swept out in all directions and hit Yusu. Taoist Master Yusu was sent flying dozens of feet away. He vomited blood and knelt on the ground. Gue Rulai's attack hit him at close range. Even if he was a balanced realm great emperor, he would not be able to withstand it. Young friend, thank you very much. Gue Rulai first bowed to Lin Yu with his fists. After suppressing his grievances for so long, he finally got his revenge at this moment. Kneel on the ground and admit your mistake. Yusu, this is your loss to me. Gue Rulai said sternly as he approached Yusu step by step. Not only him, there was also little Buddha and Di Shi. My parents were killed by you. However, I called you master for more than 10 years. Di Shi shook his head in self-mockery. He took a step forward, and the sky, trampling 7 steps, exploded. Waves of energy rose from the demon-suppressing bell. As for the sky trampling 7 steps that was originally at the edge of the chessboard, it flew to Taoist Master Yusu's side in the storm. Sky trampling 7 steps. This is my secret technique. Yusu vomited blood and picked up the secret technique. However, Lin Yu only smiled. In the next moment, he heard Yusu's roar. Chapter 659. Fake, it's all fake. Yusu flipped the secret manual over and over again. From the first page to the 6th page, only one word was written. Su, old, thief, must, die. Other than the first 6 pages, the rest of the secret manual were all blank. Bastard, bastard. While Yusu was raging, Gue Rulai, Lin Yu, Little Buddha, and Di Shi had already arrived in front of her. It's time for you to pay your debt, Gue Rulai said coldly. Yusu was on the ground in a sorry state. She seemed to be laughing crazily. I'm a Tao master of a world. How can I kneel to someone with no status? Gue Rulai, do you still think you're a Tao Jun? My years of hard work have been destroyed. But you, Gue Rulai, have lost your position as Tao master. You're not much better off. Yusu stood up and wanted to fight back. Gue Rulai raised his hand. He used his hand as a blade. When he was not fighting, his blade intent was already sharp enough. Now that he was using his hand, his blade intent was even more domineering. The two's balanced Tao intent exploded again. However, Yusu was only at the 5 Tao balance Great Emperor realm. Gue Rulai's aura had already reached the 6 Tao balance Great Emperor realm. In addition to the domineering power of the blade, he might be able to fight even with 7 Tao balance. The two forces collided. Boom! After separating, Yusu was forced to retreat. Little Buddha and Di Shi had not made a move, but Tao Jun alone had already beaten Yusu to the point that she could not take care of herself. But in the next moment, when Gue Rulai wanted to end this, heavenly fire rose from the demon-suppressing bell. A pure gold flame swept past Gue Rulai. The remaining snow on the demon-suppressing bell instantly evaporated. His move was blocked. Gue Rulai looked up with a serious expression. He saw a middle-aged man who had merged with the golden crow fire behind him like a sun god. He slowly landed between Gue Rulai and Yusu. Yamato, Gue Rulai's aura did not weaken. He stared at Jade Fall Down Master. Why did you stop me? The 9 worlds of the Sky Desert are now united. I am the commander of a human race. Naturally, I can't let you hurt Jade Fall Down Master. The Azure Sky Tao Lord spoke coldly. He was enveloped in golden crow flames, and 8 balanced Taos surrounded him. He was like a god of war in the heavens, and his aura was overwhelming. Human commander? What a joke. This old man has been wrongly imprisoned by Yusu for 3,000 years. Where are you, the human commander? Just now, when Yusu was about to hurt these juniors, where were you, the commander of the human race? The Azure Sky Tao Lord didn't feel that he was being unfair at all. He laughed coldly and said, Gue Rulai, I have my own standards for doing things. Why should I explain myself to you? What a good standard of measurement. What a great human commander. Gu-Relai was originally filled with boundless rage, but when he regained his rationality and thought about it, he couldn't help but narrow his eyes slightly. His ice-cold blade intent was actually somewhat hesitant. Although he didn't know where Downlord Azure Heaven's authority to command the human race came from, he still didn't know. However, the other Downlords, especially those at the level of the Heaven-Spilled Downlord, didn't stand out to object. In that case, what Yamato said must be true. In addition, the Ghost Emperor sensed that the He's battle prowess was even stronger than his own. Once they fought, it didn't matter if he died, but the juniors behind him would die here. Gu-Relai, the human race, is about to go to war with the War Emperor of all beasts. You still have some value, so I didn't hurt you Sue just now. If you're willing to listen to my orders in the future, you can still redeem yourself. When Gu-Relai lowered his hand, the Azure Sky Daelord's voice sounded again. Not only did he want to save you Sue, but he also wanted Gu-Relai to admit his mistake and redeem himself. Yamato, long time no see. You are even more domineering than before. Gu-Relai forcefully suppressed the killing intent behind him, because Yamato's aura had already locked onto Linyu and the others. The three of them were here to save Gu-Relai, so he naturally couldn't let them get hurt. The endless desert universe has been scattered for too long. What I am doing is for the peace and future of the endless desert. Gu-Relai, I will say this. Have you thought about it? The Downlord of Jadefall, Downlord spoke calmly, but the warning in his voice was obvious. The Golden Crow Fire and Yamato merged into one and burned the earth. The demon-suppressing bell around the Azure Sky Downlord was already charred black and showed signs of cracking at any moment. It was an Emperor-grade artifact that even the Sky Saber and Sky Saber technique couldn't damage the demon-suppressing bell. However, the Golden Crow Fire could burn even an Emperor-grade artifact for a moment. Damn it, the 9 worlds of the endless desert are on equal footing. Since when did the human race have another commander? Little Buddha was furious. When my Killing Heart Palace was being oppressed and humiliated by the endless border Downlord, there was a commander in charge. Where were you, the commander? Today is a grudge between Ancestor and Yusu. Yusu is at a disadvantage, but you, the commander, are standing up for her? He gripped Sky Saber tightly. Ancestor, Xiao Mingren is already prepared to spill Yusu's blood. Let's fight it out with him. Why should I, the Azure Sky Downlord, and the Flame Emperor explain our actions to you? The Azure Sky Downlord smiled disdainfully. Gu-Relai turned around and looked at the furious little Buddha with a benevolent expression. Child, they are Downlords. Aren't you afraid of death? Little Buddha immediately shook his head. No. So what if I die? Our Killing Heart Palace's ancestor taught us that there is no retreat with the saber. There is no enemy we can't fight. If we can kill 800 of them, so what if we lose 1,000 of them? This was the voice of the fearless youth. Compared to the Downlords present, they had heard this voice before, but they had long forgotten it. Liu Youqi, Song Ling, and the others all looked over. If this child doesn't die today, he will definitely surpass Killing Heart in the future. Liu Youqi judged. Good, there is no retreat with the saber. Well said. Gu-Relai slapped little Buddha on the demon-suppressing bell. If we can kill 800 of them, so what if we lose 1,000 of them? This old man can rest in peace with a descendant like you. Ancestor, little Buddha had a bad premonition. In the next moment, he felt a burst of energy from Gu-Relai's body and directly pushed him, Linyu, and Dishur back. Leave your lives. Hurry up and leave. Gu-Relai said as his entire body was covered by a monstrous saber intent. Big Harmony, let this old man test your cultivation as a human commander. How is it? You overestimate yourself. Big Harmony spread his arms and floated up into the air. Suddenly, a huge ring of fire began to appear behind him. The battle between Downlords was about to erupt. How could Yusu, who had escaped this calamity, let go of this opportunity to deal with Linyu? Kid, you must die today. Yusu stepped down and shrank the ground into an inch. She had already appeared within 3 feet of Lin Yu and struck out with her palm. However, in front of Lin Yu, 2 figures, one on the left and one on the right, had already sensed the danger and blocked in front of Lin Yu. Chapter 660. The two of them blocked Yu Su's attack. Lin Yu's clothes fluttered, and he saw Skyblade and Sky trampling 7 steps attack at the same time. Little Master looked back and said, "Brother Lin, let's go first." This was the first time he and Di Shi joined forces. He didn't expect it to be to deal with Yu Su. Di Shi, how does it feel to fight with your master? Why don't you try it yourself? This Buddha doesn't have a master. It's all self-taught. TSK, be careful. Don't let that old thief Yu Su break your blade. The 2 strongest youths of Sky Desert Universe were fighting with Down Master Yu Su. Under Sky Blade's endless blade intent, the demon-suppressing bell let out a shocking sound. The huge demon-suppressing bell seemed to be gradually unable to withstand the battle between the 2 sides. In the sky, Ghost Emperor Song Yuan and Dao Master Song Ling pulled apart the distance between them as his gaze fell on Lin Yu. At this moment, the latter was alone. "Boy, hand over the Emperor artifact, and this old man will leave your corpse intact." Song Yuan rushed over, closing the distance in an instant. "Damn it!" Dao Master Song Ling sensed it and used his movement technique to stop Song Yuan. But in the next moment, a figure blocked his path. Li Sang Tian. The person who blocked him was Wu Jiang Dao Master, Li Sang Tian. Dao Master Song Ling, you shouldn't interfere in the grudge between Ghost Emperor and Lin Yu. Li Sang Tian said coldly. "Get out of my way." Song Ling's face turned ugly. How could he not understand that this was Li Sang Tian's personal revenge? Lin Yu saving Gue Rulai had already committed a capital crime to Li Sang Tian. "Seems like I have no choice but to fight." Li Sang Tian held the blade on his back in his hand. "This king will defeat you and then deal with Gue Rulai." What a joke. If you were really capable, you would have fought Gue Rulai yourself. Why wait for Bai Luo? Dao Master Song Ling's words were unforgiving, causing Li Sang Tian's face to turn gloomy. This king will see if Dao Master Song Ling's battle strength is as good as his glib tongue. The third battlefield erupted once again. On Lin Yu's side, Ghost Emperor Song Ling had already appeared before him without Sect Master Song Ling's obstruction. "Where's the Emperor artifact?" The Ghost Emperor cackled. "Zither Emperor and that group of idiots. Do they think that by chasing me out of Fong, Yi, and leaving behind the Emperor treasure, they can leave a trace of hope for the Tao world of Fong, Yi? How foolish!" The Ghost Emperor raised his hands and looked at Lin Yu, as if he was looking at a dead man. It's been 10,000 years, but the 9 Emperor artifacts still fell into this old master's hands. He saw that Song Ling was stopped by Wu Jiang Dao Lord and could no longer obstruct him. Lin Yu's great Emperors of Balance, Dao Monarch, Di Shi, Little Buddha, and Dao Master Song Ling were all restrained. No one could help him. The Vast Abyss Sect Master approached step by step. When he reached out his hand, he instantly appeared within a meter of Lin Yu. However, the latter, who had been silent all this while, raised the corner of her mouth. "Ghost Emperor, have you seen a heavenly tribulation before?" "What?" As soon as he finished speaking, Ghost Emperor Song Yuan immediately had a bad feeling. Although Lin Yu only had a cultivation level of the Law Realm, he was cunning and had injured him the last time. The Ghost Emperor was still in pain from the injuries he had suffered in the Song Ling Dao world. As he spoke, the aura on Lin Yu's body suddenly skyrocketed. On his glabella, the incomparably complicated runes of the fusion talisman slowly appeared. At the same time, a tyrannical pushing force vibrated. It was a shock wave from the fusion of the supreme stage cultivation power that had been absorbed by the fusion talisman. Bastard! The Ghost Emperor was pushed back by this shock wave and pulled a distance of 100 feet. "Let's see how you block me." His gaze was sharp, and his pale face was gloomy and terrifying. The 3 Dao intense of balance behind him transformed into monstrous demonic chi that attacked Lin Yu. The source of the demonic chi was 3 fish hooks. They were the Tao intents of balance that had chased Lin Yu for thousands of miles when he left the Feng Yi Dao world. The moment the fish hooks appeared, dozens of karma lines had already appeared on Lin Yu's body. Those were the karma lines that the Ghost Emperor had already left on him from the beginning of the fight. A crisis was approaching. Lin Yu was not in a hurry, and a supreme stage intent appeared on the fusion talisman. In front of this supreme stage intent, a drop of solid blood floated above the runes. That was the supreme stage blood condensed from the 10,000-year demonic flower in the Azura Emperor sect of the Feng Yi Dao world back then. Lin Yu had once comprehended a trace of the supreme stage law from this supreme stage blood, but it was obvious that only 30% of the supreme stage blood was consumed to condense the supreme stage law. At this moment, the remaining 70% was about to play an even greater role. Lin Yu spread out his hands, and the supreme stage blood began to decompose in front of the fusion talisman. All things in the world, unity of heaven and man. Under the fusion talisman, all power would be perfectly refined and integrated into Lin Yu's body. That is the power of a divine object. The Emperor Lords sensed it, and fear appeared in their eyes. Divine object, unity of heaven and man. This brat is in big trouble. Under Li Songtian's blade, Dao Master Song Ling pulled away with great difficulty. When he saw Lin Yu being forced to use the fusion talisman, he felt helpless. She knew that if Lin Yu did not do so, he would definitely not be a match for Ghost Emperor Song Yuan. However, once the divine object was exposed, Lin Yu would either reach a state where no one dared to touch him, or he could only wait for someone to come knocking on his door. Divine object, very good. Brat, you are indeed the Zither Emperor's last hope. Ghost Emperor Song Yuan laughed greedily, and his attacks became even fiercer. However, when the balanced Tao intent hit Lin Yu's body, it was once again rebounded by the fusion talisman. In the next moment, the supreme blood merged perfectly, and Lin Yu's aura suddenly skyrocketed. Shockingly, a clone had appeared behind him. It was the battle physique clone. At this moment, the clone was glowing red, and the aura of the second firmament of the battle physique suddenly skyrocketed after absorbing the supreme blood. Second firmament 30%. Second firmament 70%. Second firmament 100%. Boom. Naturally, the aura of the battle physique reached the third firmament of the law realm. So what if he broke through to the supreme stage? In the sky, 9 Nether Dao Master, Xiandu Dao Master, and Jade Flower Dao Master were still not optimistic about Lin Yu. On the other hand, Lu Youqi knew that Lin Yu was extraordinary. So this is the 3 elements merge realm. Lu Youqi's eyes were filled with understanding. It seemed that after Lin Yu's breakthrough, he also had a certain understanding of the third firmament. The ancient records are correct. This cultivation method is indeed feasible. Lu Youqi thought to himself, but he shook his head again. He had already passed the best time to cultivate. Unless he completely crippled his own cultivation, he would not be able to cultivate to the third firmament. Strange. Why can a mere third firmament of the law realm make me feel uneasy? While the Ghost Emperor was puzzled, the Jade Silk Realm's glory chi suddenly gathered in the starry sky above Lin Yu's head. Chapter 661. There seemed to be a mysterious force that was affecting the power of the Jade Silk Dao world. That's a tribulation. All the Dao Masters looked up. They had seen tribulation before, but what kind of tribulation was this black cloud that seemed to cover a third of the Jade Silk world? It was as if heaven and earth couldn't tolerate it and wanted to destroy this world. Song Yuan, have you seen a tribulation before? Lin Yu said slowly. He landed, dodged a few fish hooks, and appeared in front of Ghost Emperor Song Yuan. With his current third firmament nomological law combat body, the speed of his movement technique was much faster than before. The fish hooks that were difficult to dodge could no longer hit him so easily. If you want to die, then come. Ghost Emperor sneered when he saw that Lin Yu wanted to fight him in close combat. However, in the next moment, tens of thousands of lightning bolts that were hidden in the black cloud that extended for hundreds of thousands of feet revealed themselves. Boom! Boom! Lightning instantly gathered, and a lightning dragon that seemed to be able to swallow the entire planet opened its bottomless mouth and came down. Seeing this, the people on the battlefield had no choice but to stop. Brother Lin. Oh no, Brother Lin, what are you doing? Little Buddha and Gue Rulai shouted at the same time. They could clearly see that the lightning dragon's final target was Lin Yu. However, Lin Yu and Ghost Emperor Song Yuan were now very close to each other. Damn it, don't come over. Only then did Song Yuan realize that something was wrong. This kid is actually a jinx that infuriates everyone. Once he broke through, he actually attracted such a terrifying tribulation. Get out of my way. Rumble. Thunder rumbled, and the demon suppression bell let out a deafening sound. The bell rang throughout the Jade Silk world. In the glazed moon treading tower, the few women waiting for Lin Yu. Lu Yanqing, Tang Xian, and Han Wanqing's hearts tightened. Master, young master, on the heaven-reflecting mirror, the faint ray of light also suddenly trembled. The lightning dissipated, and the ghost Tharch flew out in a fluster, looking battered and exhausted. His aura was extremely chaotic, as if he had paid a great price to escape like this. After the lightning dissipated, Lin Yu appeared. His combat body had already stabilized at the third firmament of the Law Realm. However, Lin Yu naturally wouldn't let go of today's opportunity. Today's heavenly tribulation belongs to everyone who witnessed it. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Since the Tao Masters had gathered, how could he let them go to waste? It would save him the trouble of thinking of a way to resist the heavenly tribulation. The next moment, the Ghost Emperor's eyes widened. He saw a small, palm-sized figure appear in Lin Yu's palm again. It was none other than the awakened divine sense left behind by Master Lin Wu after his death. This object was also a paragon soul. Lin Yu didn't hesitate to throw the sovereign soul into the combination rune. In the next moment, another doppelganger appeared behind him. This doppelganger contained a tyrannical divine sense. There were also 2 laws circulating around its body. However, in the next moment, the doppelganger's aura skyrocketed, and a 3rd law was continuously condensing. Supreme blood battle physique. Divine sense from a paragon's soul. Lin Yu's main body spoke slowly. Just as Ghost Emperor Song Yuan was about to stop Lin Yu, the thunderclouds that had almost dissipated in the sky gathered together again. This time, the area was even larger. 500 feet. A full 500 feet. Don't come over. Ghost Emperor Song Yuan had already predicted Lin Yu's next move. However, as he spoke, Lin Yu had already rushed over at full speed. Ghost Emperor, have you seen a heavenly tribulation before? It was the same question again. I've seen it before. Get out of my way. Ghost Emperor Song Yuan roared, but the lightning had already arrived. Rumble. The group of spectating Tao Masters all distanced themselves. At the same time, the Tao of equalization transformed into a wall of air in front of them to prevent them from being accidentally injured by the heavenly tribulation. It was also because of these heavenly tribulations that the battle between Bai Luo and Gue Rulai had temporarily stopped. Di Shi and Little Buddha were fighting Tao Master Yusu at the same time. Even though there was a gap in their cultivation levels, the 2 great Tao of equalization great emperors were still able to fight Tao Master Yusu, who had 5 Tao of equalization great emperors. On the other side, Song Ling and Li Sangtian had also stopped fighting. Heavenly tribulation. A heavenly tribulation comparable to a Tao Master's all-out attack. When Lin Yu had stepped into the 2nd firmament of the Law Realm, the heavenly tribulation he attracted could already instantly kill the half-step Tao Master Ling Wu. Now, every time Lin Yu broke through a level, the power of the heavenly tribulation would increase by 2 times. A rumbling sound resounded. The demon-suppressing bell continuously let out a mournful sound, as if it was about to shatter completely. At this moment, The Ghost Emperor appeared from the lightning. Lin Yu's fusion rune could absorb a lot of the lightning's power. In addition, the Ghost Emperor had to resist the heavenly tribulation, causing Lin Yu's damage to be almost zero. However, the Ghost Emperor was different. Lin Yu intentionally avoided it, causing him to suffer even more damage. In particular, Lin Yu could suddenly change, causing the heavenly tribulation to be unable to change its direction and blast the Ghost Emperor. The Ghost Emperor could do nothing about it. At this moment, the Ghost Emperor staggered away from Lin Yu. Chapter 662. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The Ghost Emperor once again teleported 200,000 feet away. He gasped for breath as he stared at the previous position. When you die under the heavenly tribulation, this king will take care of you. I won't trouble you. I'll do it myself. Lin Yu's ghostly voice sounded again. The Ghost Emperor could teleport, and he knew the Ghost Emperor's location. He could also use the teleportation array to teleport. The current Lin Yu was a ticking time bomb. Whoever approached him would be unlucky. This old man was wrong. Lin Yu, this old man, doesn't want the Emperor treasure anymore. It's too late. Lin Yu smiled. His figure suddenly changed, and he moved away a lot. Behind him, the Thunder Dragon had already bared its fangs. Before it could turn around, it had already swallowed the Ghost Emperor. The latter's pupils dilated, and he had already fallen into a state of madness. Heavenly tribulation, you've got the wrong person. The Ghost Emperor's roar resounded throughout the universe. The million-feet-long Thunder Dragon pushed past, drawing an incomparably resplendent thunder meteor in the starry sky. Lin Yu sat cross-legged, no longer paying attention to the Ghost Emperor, who had already burned his lifetime's cultivation to restrain the heavenly tribulation. Behind him, his battle physique and divine sense had already reached the third heavenly layer. Like his main body, the three law realms were slowly fusing together at this moment. In the end, Lin Yu took out the Supreme Bone. This was the Supreme Bone left behind by the first place on the blacklist, although his cultivation didn't seem to be much now. However, Lin Yu knew that this tiny Supreme Bone floating in his palm contained countless dead people from the Tao world who couldn't reincarnate. The power of this Supreme Bone was greater than the first place on the blacklist had imagined. In other words, the first place on the blacklist didn't have the time to perfectly fuse with the Supreme Bone at that time. He was in a hurry to leave the Tao world and pushed open the wooden door, which led to him being killed by the Ghost Emperor's clones outside. At this moment, Lin Yu crushed the Supreme Bone, and an incomparably pure power began to fuse into his body. At the same time, the three heavenly layers of the law realms gradually fused together. A brand new power was devouring the newly formed nomological laws. Lin Yu knew that he was preparing to step into the Supreme Being realm. Lin Yu closed his eyes. At this moment, the Tao Masters were rushing over. However, when they saw Lin Yu, their eyes filled with fear. That was because a black cloud was hovering above Lin Yu. This black cloud was bigger than all the previous heavenly tribulations. It was 10 million feet. Where's the vast S? Is he dead? The Masters narrowed their eyes. The gazes of the Tao Lord of Jadefall and Tao Lord Wujiang descended upon Lin Yu. Jade Su had hurried over as well, and the three of them saw Lin Yu seated in the lotus position, his aura constantly growing stronger. Lin Dao Dao Deus Yu Deus Heavens is Tao Master is Dao 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 Deus Dao Dao is Deus Dao Dao was Dao. Once such a person stepped into the equilibrium Great Emperor realm, his combat strength would be enough to challenge them. We can't let him leave here alive. The Tao Lord of Jadefall gave the order. Limitless Tao Lord Li Sangtian, Nine Abyss Tao Lord, and Jade Silk Tao Lord were prepared to attack Lin Yu. At the same time, Song Ling, Dao Jun, Lil Buddha, and Di Shur appeared before Lin Yu. Lin Yu's body was making cracking noises. He couldn't care less about what was happening outside. At that moment, his 9 Tao laws were falling apart and shattering within his body. At the same time, his organs were also shattering. supreme exalted bloodline, meridians, bones, and soul. Obtaining any one of these would give one a chance to step into the supreme exalted realm from the law realm. Not only had Lin Yu obtained 4 types of energy, but the origins of these 4 types of energy were even greater than the previous one. 10,000-year sovereign blood, 10,000-year supreme being bone, 10,000-year supreme bloodline, awakened the sovereign soul. These 4 powers appeared at the same time, constantly destroying the 3 elements become one law realm in Lin Yu's body. However, Lin Yu could feel that a new power was being born. Destruction followed by re-establishment, and this power was stronger than any of Lin Yu's previous powers. I can break through as long as I have a breath left. Lin Yu forcefully suppressed the pain that ordinary people couldn't endure. Large amounts of sweat had already seeped out of his forehead. His back was already drenched in sweat and blood. The terrifying power that his body was withstanding had already broken through many of his skin. Goei Relai, Song Ling, are the few of you rebelling against me? Azure Sky Dowlord had already lost his patience. Under the burning of the golden crow flames, the temperature within 100,000 feet kept rising. Lin, you didn't do anything wrong. Even if you're the commander of a human race, you shouldn't kill the innocent. Song Ling said angrily. Azure Sky Dowlord waved her hand, and a wave of flames swept over. Everywhere it passed, the space was burned by the high temperature, and a distorted image appeared. Song Ling's eyes widened. Dao Jun and Gue Rulai attacked together to dissolve the golden crow flames. Gue Rulai, you've already been injured in the battle with me. Why are you still holding on? Azure Sky Dowlord spread out her hands. This boy comes from the Dao world of Fong Yi. His talent isn't inferior to the Zither Emperor's. He hasn't grown up yet, but he dares to cause chaos in the 9 worlds of the Sky Desert. When he grows up in the future, will there still be a place for you and me in this world? What a joke. Even the Zither Emperor didn't cause chaos in the Sky Desert. I was trapped by Yusu's evil scheme for 3,000 years. Lin Yu rescued me from my predicament. This is a righteous act. How can he cause chaos in the 9 worlds of the Sky Desert? The Tsongling Dao world has been fighting for a long time. With the help of Lin Yu, we're now prosperous and stable. Cultivators and mortals share peace. How can he cause chaos in the 9 worlds of the Sky Desert? Gue Rulai and Song Ling spoke up for Lin Yu one after the other. Dishur and Little Buddha nodded at the same time. What Lin Yu had done was worthy of any of them. Even if there was a mistake, it was his own talent that made Bai Luo afraid. His mistake was saving the imprisoned Dao monarch and offending Wu Jiang Dao Lord. His mistake was undoing the knot in Dishur's heart, allowing him to kill his enemy. This also offended Dao Master Yusu. There was also Tsang Yuan at the start. They already understood that the reason why Tsang Yuan wanted to deal with Lin Yu was because Lin Yu had a supreme treasure on him. Brother Lin isn't wrong. The one at fault is others. Little Buddha spoke with certainty. With the heavenly blade in his hand, his lips curled up. Dishur, this time, we should be able to take down Yusu, right? As long as you don't drag me down. Dishur smiled. He could feel that a storm was coming. He was also filled with battle intent and didn't have the slightest bit of fear. Rumble. Behind the 4 of them, Lin Yu's aura continued to strengthen. That was because the first supreme intent had already taken form. Has he succeeded in breaking through? No, there's still more. Little Buddha and Dishur could clearly see that Lin Yu's aura was still surging. 1-star Supreme Realm, 2-star Supreme Realm. They could also see the heavenly tribulation in the sky. It seemed like it would descend at any moment. Brother Lin's aura actually makes me feel a little apprehensive. So it wasn't me who felt the same. Dishur, Brother Lin is in danger. We must not let them disturb him. Of course. Chapter 663. The Azure Sky Dowlord and the others also noticed the changes in Lin Yu. This kid's cultivation method is different from ours. Could he be at the legendary Three Elements Merge realm? Cultivating divine will, battle physique, and glory energy. This only exists in legends. Even we couldn't do it back then. The Three Elements Merge realm is indeed very dangerous. If there's a slight mistake, the three powers won't be balanced in the body. In the end, he'll only be trapped in his own trap and suffer chi deviation. Wu Jiang, Nine Nether, and Yu Su spoke one after another to judge the profundity of Lin Yu's cultivation. Since you don't move aside, I'll kill Song Ling and Gue Rulai as the commander of the human race. Go! Lin Yu's aura had already broken through to the 3-star Supreme stage. The Azure Sky Downlord couldn't wait for Lin Yu to continue growing. The 4 Downlords were about to attack as soon as he finished speaking, but in the next moment, 3 figures blocked their path. This old man hasn't stretched his muscles for a long time. I wonder if my fighting skills have deteriorated. Liu Youqi, who was the leader of the 3, chuckled. Beside him were the Jade Flower Downlord and Xiandu Downlord, who were also at the 4 Elements Merge realm. Li Sangtian, Nine Nether, and Yusu could only stop when Liu Youqi and the other 2 appeared. They frowned slightly and waited. Sky Spill Downlord, are you sure you want to get involved in this mess? The others were wary of Liu Youqi, but the Azure Sky Downlord smiled faintly and didn't intend to stop for a long time. He was already in front of Liu Youqi. The golden crow fire burned fiercely, and everywhere it passed, space crackled. Liu Youqi shook his head helplessly, and a finger-sized ice crystal suddenly appeared in his hand. He crushed the ice crystal. An extremely cold aura enveloped Liu Youqi's entire body. He took a step forward and looked into the eyes of the Azure Sky Downlord. Everyone could only watch. Since the Zither Empress death, these 2 people had been the strongest in the Sky Desert universe. Other than Nine Nether Downlord, who was at the 8 Elements Merge realm, they could still fight. The other Downlords couldn't join in a battle of this level. Liu Youqi, can you still fight me with this body of yours? Rumor has it that the Jade Sky Downlord has already surpassed his master. That damn master of yours was once defeated by this old man. I wonder if this disciple of yours will be able to turn the tables on him? The 2 of them engaged in a battle of words. One was fire and the other was ice. A storm was coming. At this moment, 2 waves of energy burst out from Lin Yu's body. His cultivation had also risen from the level of a 3-star supremacy to that of a 4-star supremacy. 5-star Supreme Realm. Lin Yu abruptly opened his eyes. At the same time, the lightning tribulation in the sky descended. As the lightning tribulation descended, the entire starry sky of the Jade Silk Dao world began to crackle and tremble violently. Liu Youqi and Bai Luo, who were about to fight, could only stop fighting and raise their hands. 2 enormous palm forces rose from the ground and collided with the lightning tribulation. The Jade Sky Daylord expression was extremely ugly. Not only could he not kill Lin Yu, but he also had to block the heavenly tribulation for him. However, the range of the heavenly tribulation was too large. It covered all of them. If they didn't resist, they could only wait for death here. It wasn't just the 2 of them. The other Downlords around them, including Dishur and Little Buddha, also circulated their cultivation to the extreme at this moment to block the heavenly tribulation. Brother Lin's tribulation is too terrifying. I've never seen such a powerful tribulation in the Sky Desert universe. It's as if the power of the entire Jade Silk Dao world is rejecting Lin Yu's breakthrough. At this moment, there was a place that was exceptionally calm. That was where Lin Yu was sitting cross-legged. He looked at the balanced Great Emperor in front of him. This scene of unity and cooperation against the heavenly tribulation. He couldn't help but nod. People of the Sky Desert should be like this. Lin Yu couldn't help but nod. When he stood up, he changed into a new set of clothes. When everyone saw that he was making sarcastic remarks, and even changed his clothes, they almost spat out a mouthful of blood, especially the Jade Sky Downlord and the others. When they saw that they couldn't kill Lin Yu, and even helped him break through, they suddenly felt that the heavenly tribulation above them was 10 times heavier. Lin Yu tidied himself up. He knew that he couldn't stay here any longer. Once the heavenly tribulation disappeared, everyone would be in greater danger. He transmitted his voice to the people on his side. After Dao Jun, Di Shi, and the others nodded, Lin Yu ran away without looking back. "Damn it, you brat, stop right there. Shameless. This is your heavenly tribulation." The Jade Sky Dao Lord and the others cursed. Lin Yu, who was thousands of miles away, turned back and smiled. "It's your heavenly tribulation." When the heavenly tribulation dissipated and everyone wanted to chase after Lin Yu, he seemed to have left the Jade Silk Dao world. "Let's see where you can run to." The Jade Sky Daylord's anger made the golden crow flames flicker. But when he wanted to chase after Lin Yu at the southern border of the Heaven Desert universe, in a desolate and uninhabited place, space shattered at this moment. A terrifying voice came from the crack in space. It wasn't a voice of a human, but a dense pack of demon beasts. "It's been 15,000 years, Day. I'm here for revenge." The demon beasts were like loaches in a vast ocean, flooding out from the crack in space. Accompanying them were waves of extremely eerie netherworld energy. Behind the netherworld energy was a pair of scarlet eyes. When they opened, they looked at the core region of the Heaven Desert universe. That was the land of the human race's 9 worlds, where his mortal enemy was. At the edge of the Jade Silk Dao world, the Jade Sky Dao Lord and the others stopped in their tracks. They had sensed the changes in the abyss of despair. The 10,000 Beast War Emperor, Zhou Yingtian, has come out. The Jade Sky Dao Lord narrowed his eyes, his voice filled with fear. The other Dao Lord's expressions changed. "Commander-in-Chief, what should we do now?" The Jade Sky Dao Lord asked immediately. "We haven't caught Lin Yu yet. That kid is lucky. Let's return to our Dao worlds first, gather our forces, and attack the abyss of despair with me." The Jade Sky Dao Lord looked in the direction that Lin Yu had disappeared, then looked behind him. Tian Yin and the others had disappeared as well. They had fallen for Lin Yu's diversion tactic. "I'll settle the score with you after I've dealt with the 10,000 Beast War Emperor." In the Jade Sky Dao world, everyone thought that Lin Yu had left. However, Lin Yu's figure appeared in the sky above the glazed moon-treading tower once again. He had left the Jade Sky Dao world under everyone's watchful eyes and returned through the teleportation array. Even those old foxes at the Dao Lord level would never have expected this. The 10,000 Beast War Emperor, Zhou Yingtian, has come out of seclusion. Looks like there's going to be a good show. Lin Yu's lips curled up. He didn't care how these people fought, but according to his judgment, the demon beasts of the Abyss of Despair were no match for the human race. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.